Lately I've been low down, losing all control. Henny with the soda, I've been on the road, life been taking toll. I just wanna roam, I've been running from them bad days, trying to take it slower. Party on occasion, that should ease the weight off my shoulders, yeah. I said we only getting older, yeah. Tell me, are you coming over? I need to know, is you falling through? Tell me what the move is, girl, it's been a cool minute, yeah. I just wanna know, tell me what's the hold up, wanna get to know ya. Girl, I wanna show you, yeah, that I've got all the things you need from me. I wanna hear you say you still believe in me. I just wanna know. Tell me it's the real thing. Tell me it's the real thing. I just wanna know. Tell me it's the real thing. I just wanna know. Tell me it's the real thing. Tell me it's the real thing. I just wanna know. Tell me it's the real thing. I just wanna feel something real. Lately I've been low down, losing all control, I admit it. All this Tennessee at my limits. This might be all the here, let me finish. I get it, I know you tease me, love me for the leisure, only for the eve. See you searching for the meaning. Hate the way we treat this. Why you in a rush? Know you got no business leaving. Why you always leaving? Know you want that repeat. Yeah, it ain't no way around it. We got a range about us. You got your way about you, now much to say about it. Still have your way around me. They say we're something special. Is it better where we left it? All this inside of my head. Know when you're ready, I just wanna know. Tell me it's the real thing. Tell me it's the real thing. I just wanna know. Tell me it's the real thing. I just wanna know.
Hey, family, good morning to you. Please take a second to like and in particular share today's show. We got a lot to talk about. You know, on Fridays, I like to do my own version of sort of like a weekend review. I call it Humans Worse Than COVID. And we've got another case. This is a local case. I'm not sure if you've seen this video, but I'm going to tell you, if you have children or you care about children, the issue will make you mad. I'll tell you that much. It'll make you real mad once you see this. Happened here in the Cincinnati area, the Fairfield area to be exact. You just never know, man. That is such a high stress scenario when you're dropping your children off to be under the supervision of humans that you don't really know, like you dropping them off at like daycare or something like that. You won't believe what happened. That's just a tip of the iceberg, man. This has just been that kind of week. I got more things to talk about than time to talk about them in, quite honestly. We got a special guest that's scheduled to give us a Zoom call at about 9 a.m. this morning. So a little later in the morning, something to look forward to. His name is Pascal Robert. He's a Haitian American. There's a lot of work in the Haitian community. He's going to come in and give us a little bit of a background and history on the U.S. Foreign policy, U.S. relations in Haiti, and kind of explain why we're seeing what we see right now. You may have seen him on some other shows. The brother's on point. So that's at 9 a.m. this morning. Anybody get a chance to see the Hamilton County Commissioner's video feed last night? If you didn't, I'm going to play, certain parts of it. I don't want to play all of it because you might find it to be boring, but they had a very interesting exchange last night where you had two of the county commissioners. I won't say they were at odds. Let's just say there was a difference of opinion as it relates to what would amount to a symbolic resolution welcoming Afghan immigrants or migrants or refugees. That might even be a better way of putting it. Very, very interesting. And for me, as I watched it, I think this is what you get when you have two African Americans, you got two black folks, and the sensitivities that black folks bring to certain situations. It really came out last night. I want to play it for you and get your thoughts about it. Again, that's just a tip of the iceberg. There is so much to talk about this morning. I'm glad that you're here. Buckle up. This is the last honest place in America. It's the Nathan Ivey Show, where nothing is funnier than the truth. Men are allowed to be men, and of course, lames get their plane shot down like John McCain. The show will start in about 2 minutes. Please take this time to like and in particular share it wherever you think people might get into this kind of content. All right? Don't go anywhere.
NathanIvey.com. Mr. Ivy know the show must go on. And far as Cincinnati, man, I put on. Tunes made another flame beat for me to cook on. Raised dogs, close this, yeah, too strong. Team AI, chop it up at the chop shop. Top notch with the king flow, the hot shot. Cop squats in, listen to the real. Jumping like hopscotch, nobody harder than, oh, no, think not. Not only citywide, but nationwide. Superlative, keep it locked like them Haitian guys. Put the truth in the airwaves, we talk about it. Brand new like the tent place, let's be about it. Who got the info by the AM? John be the rapper, got them jamming when they play him. Staying in my lane, they ain't gotta okay him. Who the host with the scoop? Yeah, they gon' say him. Ivy, so superlative like a bag of drippos. Show you where the bricks at, Cincinnati Reds at. One time where my people at. Team NI where my people at. It's the 513, yeah, you know the flow. What's the word, Nate? Let them know the show. One time where my people at. Team NI where my people at.
Friday, as we like to say it. Good morning to you. Good morning, wherever you might be in the world. Hopefully these flows will find you in a good place. Good morning. Welcome back to the Nathan Ivey Show. I guess that would make me Nathan Ivey. I am the host of this thing. I do what I do. Hold on 1 second. I got to take a look, make sure I'm looking presentable for the peoples out there. Representing for the peoples on cam. Good morning to you. Let me take another look right here. Okay. Yeah, I do need to go ahead and hit this beard, you know what I'm saying? Shape it up. I'll do it later. My wifey's okay with it. If she's okay, you should be cool. It's all good. We need more grizzly beard black men in Cincinnati. You know what I'm saying? We need more of that grizzly look. I'm bringing sexy back to the Cincinnati airwaves. You know what I'm saying? Representing for those men, those middle-aged men. Too many middle-aged men in Cincinnati let themselves go blah. Just let themselves go to get that Cincinnati Bengal hamburger body. Not a good look. So I'm gonna represent for the fellas out there, you know, give you something nice to look at. That works too, I guess, right? 513-873-7134. If you want to share your thoughts this morning, I want to hear them. Let me throw the cover back up again. Humans worse than COVID. You know, that's my weekend review. Everybody does it differently. That's how I do it. Humans worse than COVID. Fairfield teacher shoves a 4-year-old black girl. Have you seen this? Man, it'll piss you the hell off. Yeah. And I already know. I mean, you talk about heartless. This is heartless. Not sure if you've seen the video. Let me put a link where you can watch the video in its entirety on YouTube. I'm gonna put this in a link in the chat for you so you can check this out. All right, because this issue is crazy. And I'm not even gonna ask you if you was a parent, what would you do? Because I already know what you would do. You're gonna form Voltron. I've already told people, and I know the law is watching, listening too. If that's me, I'm going to get you. There's no doubt about it. I don't give a damn about nothing else. My life stops right then. My whole life is about putting my hands on you, and I won't be satisfied. But in the video, it's like a daycare situation. You see the teacher, white male. He's got like 10 kids. They're like surrounding him. He's doing like songs and stuff, like all the stuff you would expect at a daycare. The door opens, and a white woman, teacher, Pardon me. She walks in and she's got like a little 4-year-old girl that she's returning back to the classroom. So she opens the door. She brings the child in. The child walks in. The child walks over to him. And this grown ass man shoves this little girl, this little black girl, straight to the ground. Says, "Get out of here." And then turns his attention and goes back to the class. Little girl's feet go up. Little girl starts screaming and crying. And would you believe that the white woman, I don't know if she's a teacher, she plays some role at this Fairfield facility. She shuts the door and walks right back out. She shuts the door and walks right back out, family. Don't say a word. Now, we don't know what happens beyond what we caught on the video. And again, I'm not going to play the video because of copyright issues. I don't need those kind of problems. But you can check it out in the chat right now, whether you're on whatever page you're on, Facebook or on YouTube, you can check it out right there. I'm like, what in the hell? What in the hell? Number one, this is what you do now? You a grown man pushing kids? What that man deserves is for a man like myself or some of the brothers out there to put their hands on him. I'm not telling anybody what to do. I'm just telling you what I think he deserves. That's God's law. That's natural law. You out here pushing children? Then what he needs to deal with is a grown man in his face doing the same thing to him so he can see what that feels like. I bet he'll turn into a big old puddle, start weeping. I understand what I did was wrong, because those kind of people usually be the softest ones right there. Telling you already know, nothing makes my blood boil faster than when people abuse people that are not strong enough to stand up for themselves, whether it be our elderly. Oh my God, it just brings tears. It brings tears of anger to my face. Just tears of anger. It's so angry. Children, handicapped individuals, nothing makes my blood boil faster. You want to get usually I'm cool and calm. You want to get a response out of me? That's a great way to get a response out of me. I just can't imagine somebody doing something like that around me. It just would never happen. She shut the door. Like, what do I do now? What you supposed to stop everything and bring dude and check dude right then and there. So we'll see what happens. Apparently this man is being charged. I mean, this story, I came across, this story happened here in Ohio at the Wild Kingdom Early Learning Center in Fairfield, not too far from where I'm broadcasting right now. And these are daycare workers, which, by the way, you know, shout out to daycare workers that care about the kids. Y'all do heroic work with our young people and the little babies, and y'all don't get paid enough. They don't get paid enough. So maybe that's what's going on here. You know, you get what you pay for. But now 2 of them are facing charges that include assault and child endangerment after the video footage came out. And like, these folks got to know that there's a video camera here, and this is what you're doing. Both of the people I'm speaking about, they happen to be white, were terminated. They should have both been terminated. One of them is a 6 foot tall, 315-pound man. And you pushing children on some, I don't care about you to the point where you cry. The little girl's mother, there's a quote in the article that I'm reading. You know, I'm on a national website. This ain't even like a local website, although it was picked up by local channel 12. They reported it. So this is like, you know, people all over the country are reading about what happened here in Fairfield, Ohio. Here's a quote from the mother of the child. "I cried. I couldn't hold it. I was so heartbroken," she said. "The guy just pushed her away like she was an animal, a little baby who knows nothing, who all she knows in his life is just to play, eat, and sleep. You push her down on her chest and she's lying down crying, and you are still doing what you were doing. What a heartless man." Apparently, charges were filed on both individuals, and they were later taken into custody. I hope somebody behind bars put their hands on them, at least the man, because that's what he deserves. He deserves to deal with the law. But he deserves to go face to face with a grown man that'll put him in his place and check his ass the only way a grown man can do. Well, what kind of man is doing this to a child? I'm telling you, man, humans worse than COVID. Say it with me. Humans worse than COVID. I'll take COVID over humans, some of these humans, any day of the week. Any day of the week. Humans worse than COVID. I'm not even going to ask you what you would do, because I know what you're going to say. You forming Voltron. I know that's what I'm going to do. I'm telling you, up the show, everything else. If I gotta lay in wait with a camouflage suit on in your backyard to catch you slipping, then that's what I would do. And whatever comes after that comes after that. I will catch you, no doubt about it. And it wouldn't be quick. It would not be quick. It's just some humans, man, that we just don't need anymore. And I'd like to hear the explanation. You know, these folks kill me, man. They always, I'm so sorry. I had a bad day. My dog died. My fish died. I overcooked my salmon last night. I was really hungry. I had to throw it all out. You know, all these excuses. I heard all the excuses, man. All the excuses, but it's just sad. So again, shout out to all folks. I'm so glad that we're no longer in the daycare system. Now, we got lucky. We never had any issues that came to my attention because I'm forming Voltron right then and there. Male, female, white, black, young, old, it makes no difference. And I never had to do that. And I'll tell you, I just remember the feeling that I had going to daycare every day. It's like a stress every day because I remember for me anyway, speaking for myself, as I'm driving or whether I was walking to pick up my children from daycare, I'm just preparing myself to hear the BS. I'm just preparing myself. And, you know, as a father or as a parent, I think mothers do this as well. You know, you always check in and just trying to just visually and as much information you can kind of read the people that are around your children when your kids are in daycare. You do the same thing in school, but it's still that same stress. But honestly, I think it's less of a stress than in daycare, just because of the nature of who are daycare workers, which I say nothing negative about daycare workers. We had some fabulous people. I think we just got lucky. We got lucky. We chose well. And our children were in daycare facilities where at the time we had no issues whatsoever, man. But I just remembered like every day when I would pick up my daughter, every day when I would pick up my son, it's just a stress as you're driving to pick them up because you don't want to hear no BS. I don't want to come pick up my son and he crying. I don't want to pick up my daughter and she telling me something. See, because my style is, as I told my kids, I believe you over anybody. My kids come to me and say, well, such and such did this. We got stuff. I'm at your neck. You got to explain this to me right then and there. Right then and there. We ain't walking out and they tell me about it. We're going to do it right then and there. And it better make sense. It's got to make sense. It all got to add up. Well, you know, he kind of fell and I was watching the other kid. I don't want to hear all of that. I don't want to hear all of that. You got the problem on your hands right then and there. I keep telling folks, man, don't play with people's kids. Playing with people's children is a good way to deal with some serious consequences. That is not a game. You know, some parents are like, you know, less likely to react in a violent manner. And you have some parents, they at your neck right then and there. They might be wrong, but they at your neck right then and there. And like I said, depending on the circumstances, I always side with the parents. That's just me. You out here abusing people's children, you think it's funny and all this kind of, okay. When they catch up with you, I ain't see nothing. I don't know what happened to him, officer. I have no idea. I'm just being honest with you. That's natural. That's natural law right there. That is crazy. Y'all see this? I put the link to the video on YouTube. Check it out and then tell me what you think. That it should drive you crazy, man. I'm telling you, it was two things. Like we breathed a sigh of relief when our son finally got out of daycare. Number one, because of the financial part of it. Because man, you talk about money. And I'm like, damn, we could be doing other things with this, you know, but you always want quality, daycare supervision for your children, right? Got to pay for it. And then secondly, it's just like that. There's a level of stress that you don't have to deal with anymore. Now, my children are in public school. And so there's still a level of stress there. Like every time I see that 363 number coming up, what is this? And most of the time it's an automated joint. And so it's not particular to my kids, but that's just the stress of being a parent, right? Humans worse than COVID. I bring it to you again. Tell you, I'll take COVID over the company of some of these humans any day. and twice on Sundays. But good morning to you. 513-873-7134 if you want to share your thoughts. How many people live in Hamilton County? Do you live in Hamilton County? Probably a lot of people. How many people watch the Hamilton County Commissioners meeting? Probably not a lot of people, right? That's not like, oh, damn. It's not like Big Brother, right? You know, damn, I missed the Hamilton County Commissioners live stream, right? Nobody's thinking about like that, even though they talk about things that are like really, really important to it. But that's why I'm here. Let me do that. So I can't lie to you. I wasn't watching it. Some listeners sent me the links to it, like, Nate, pay attention to this. And I did. I think there was even some local reporting about it. And it's all tied in on some levels to the influx of refugees or immigrants, or however you want to put it. I guess it depends on the circumstances that they're in that lead them to leave their country to come to Cincinnati. It's been highly publicized, and people are talking about it, that Cincinnati's not uncommon to a lot of cities where we're going to absorb some of the Afghan refugees, and rightly so. And rightly so. And rightly so, because the United States thinks that we are the policemen of the world. We like to meddle in other countries' affairs. And then when we break it, we don't know how to fix it. And then we deploy the pullout method, which is never effective. And then you got crisis in other countries caused by us. Right. And we sitting here behind the curtain wall of our U.S. defense and our borders, oblivious to it, many of us. So I have no problem with absorbing Afghan refugees or immigrants, but I feel the same way about the Haitian refugees or immigrants. United States has played a role in meddling with that country, crippling that country. As a matter of fact, I got a brother named Pascal Robert who's going to call into the show, Zoom call into the show at about 9 a.m. this morning. I think that brother can speak way more intelligently about this than I can. And we'll pick his brain a little bit and get a sense of how we arrived at this point. And, as someone who has a Haitian background, I'm very interested in hearing his thoughts about what's going on right now. You might have seen him on some other shows. I think the brother has a superlative flow on this topic. So that's about 9 a.m. this morning, tune back in. But apparently, let me lay the groundwork for you on this. So apparently, where is this at? Where can I grab this? So apparently I'm not going to play all of it. I'll play some of it and then we'll jump around a little bit. Okay. I don't want to play all of it, but apparently there was a resolution that was put forward that would be welcoming to Afghan refugees, immigrants that are coming to Hamilton County. Largely symbolic. There's no real teeth to it. But there was a bit of a disagreement between the Hamilton County commissioners. And it seemed to be based that there was a racial schism to this. If you don't know, there are 3 Hamilton County commissioners. And we've made history. They're all female, which I love. All women. Because we've had men breaking government on so many different levels. Let's let the ladies give a try at it. So I love it. And we have a majority Black Hamilton County Commission. Right? We making history all the way around. What's up, sis? Come on in here. Let me take a look at you. So this is homecoming weekend, and somebody is super charged up about it.
Supercharged.
And she got a date and everything for the homecoming days. You don't want to talk about that, do you? You already know where I'm going with it. We ain't even gonna talk about that. We ain't even gonna talk about that anymore. She got a date. Tomorrow, so Dad, we want to go get some dinner first. Can we get some dinner and then go to the homecoming? Your business. I'm telling all of it. She all super hot, charged up. But no, yeah, good. They should. Good. They good. Yeah, she all charged up. She going to the homecoming dance or the date. I can't wait to meet this dude. And you already know I'm keeping it 100 with you. Yeah, she's about to cry. No need to cry. Have a good time. I want you to have a great time. Can she go to an after party? So apparently one of her classmates is written. Is it Airbnb? Yeah. Now, whose parent is allowing their child to rent out an Airbnb for an after party? Not us. She had the nerve to ask us, like, can I go? What you think? What you think? Hell to the no, you not going. Now, if I can go, you can go. I'll be in that be like Bernie. I'll be in there chilling. No, you're not going. You look good, though. Let me check you out. I Of course you're not. You look nice. Okay. Looking nice, little cheerleader. Not little, medium cheerleader. Have a great day. Yeah, she's been excited all week. Had to someone say, it's homecoming. It's fun. It's fun for them. And my job is just to whatever she want to do, if it makes sense, she do it. Whatever my job is to help her find her spark. If that means I got to spend more money, we spend more money. If that means I got to spend more time driving around the city, we're going to drive around the city so she can become whoever the hell she's going to become. But had the nerve to ask us, can she go to an after party? Somebody who's parent out here letting their kids rent out Airbnbs. I hope the parents will be there, but our daughter will not be there. But she asked us though. She tried it. But back to what I was saying about the Hamilton County Commissioners. I got the video queued up. I'll play it for you in a second. But let me set the table for you. So a resolution was proposed. I think it might have been brought up by Driehaus. So you got Stephanie Summerall Dumas, black female, Alicia Reese, black female, and Denise Driehaus, white female. All Democrats, as I understand it. Okay. History, I love it. I love the fact that we have women running the Hamilton County Commissioners. I love it, love it, love it. I love the fact we got majority black folks running it. I'm just being honest with you. Okay. That's just me. And this resolution comes up, and there was a schism between Alicia Reese and Stephanie Dumas Summerall. And I'm not trying to say that they were at each other or anything like that. I don't want to come across like that. But what was interesting to me was I think that there was a level of sensitivity that was brought to this issue that maybe other people didn't expect. But a lot of black people are looking at what's happening with this Haitian situation on the border. A lot of black folks are watching this, and they are extremely dissatisfied with the Biden administration and extremely sensitive to the energy of it. And to me, this is what you get. This is a small example of what you get when you have black leadership. Because black folks are going to be a little bit more sensitive about things than perhaps even our allies are. They just don't feel the same way. Again, in no way am I trying to say anything negative about Driehaus or anybody else. I don't feel that way. But I thought it was very, very interesting. And so basically, Stephanie Summerall Dumas and Alicia Reese was like, symbolic welcoming. Man, bump all that. We got bigger issues. Like the people here in Hamilton County that's struggling, which I agree with 1,000%. They also had an issue with the fact that in the title, it was only about welcoming Afghan, folks and not the Haitians. And so their issue was, listen, we don't really give a damn about this because there's bigger fish to fry. But if we're going to do it, then let's make sure we're sensitive to what's happening with the Haitian folks as well, which I thought was super, super interesting. I thought it was very interesting. So I want to play this for you.
And we want to acknowledge that.
I'm gonna let that play a little bit and catch up before I jump into it, because there was some stuff at the beginning that I don't really care about, and it really has no impact in the point I'm trying to make. It just happened to be on the video. But I want you to see this, man. It was quite interesting, the points that they were making. And again, I don't know how strongly Denise Driehaus cares about this. Maybe it was not that strong. Maybe she was just bringing it up because it was brought to her. But I mean, to me, it was an example of what you get when you got black folks that is in leadership positions. They just got a different sensitivity about current events and things that are going on. And I thought it was on some levels refreshing, quite honestly.
All through the middle to hear about the Haitians. I think
check this out.
It's not timely right now to pass it without putting the Haitian immigrants or the Haitian refugees in the title, so people will know that with all of this going on down at the border, that we recognize that there are other refugees or immigrants, however you want to call it, that need assistance. In addition, we can't just ignore, and we did not ignore because your office did include it, but I'd like to have it included in the title so it's clear that this commission did not just forget about what's going on now. I'm feeling some sort of way about this down on the border, and the whips being used and bringing back, historical issues as it relates to slavery and things like that. And other refugees and immigrants are welcomed in, given a place to stay, given shelter, given food. And you see the Haitians going across the river. I wasn't going to go there, but I am. going across the river to Mexico, trying to get food and supplies for the people that are there. And even the Mexicans are volunteering to help to bring food over. Where's the food? Where's the shelter? Rather than just loading everybody else and not screening those people to see even if they should be here. And the majority of them, from what I've heard, are not even from Haiti. They've lived in other countries or other locations, and we just load them up and sending them back to Haiti. I'm not happy about it. And I am glad that we're welcoming these Afghan refugees. My understanding, I researched it a little more. There are 855 Afghan refugees coming to Ohio, and I think you said 50 were coming here. I thought it was a little more like 75. That's neither here nor there. So they are already being welcomed. They're already coming if they're not already here. So it's not like we're.
And so if you're just tuning in, I want to give you a sense, because it may be hard to follow along here, but I want to give you a sense of what's going on. So yesterday you may not know it, but the Hamilton County Commissioners meetings are live streamed and they are for public consumption. So you have a sense of what's happening on the county level, right? And I believe it was Denise Driehaus. She put forth I don't know what the word is, a motion that would basically do like a symbolic welcoming for Afghan refugees. Okay, well, you got two sisters on the Hamilton County Commissioners, right? The Board of Hamilton County Commissioners, right? Alicia Reese and Stephanie Summerall Dumas, and the woman you just saw was Stephanie Summerall Dumas. So you got majority Black folks down there running things at the county level, all female, right? And both of them pushed back on it. They was like, well, resolution, number one, we got people in Hamilton County that's got real issues. Why are we wasting time with symbolic resolutions for Afghans? Now, sidebar, me personally, I think that every city in America should open their doors for the Afghans because our country broke their country. Simple as that. Simple as that. I have no problem with it. But I feel the same way, and even more, just as strong, if not stronger, about the Haitian refugees, because you know, if you know about the history of U.S.-Haitian relations, the United States is complicit in the downfall and what's happening with Haiti as a country, right? And again, coming up at 9 a.m. this morning, I'm scheduled to have a guest, a brother named Pascal Robert, who is Haitian. He's going to talk more intelligently than I can about that. So stick around. That's at 9 a.m. this morning. So I have no problem with it. But they was like, well, wait a minute. Number one, why are we doing a resolution right now? And number two, if we're going to do a resolution about refugees and people, let's do it for the Haitians as well, which I thought was very interesting. I think, as I said before, I'll say it again, this is on the microcosm level. You know, this is what you get when you have Black leadership.
Not welcoming them. And I'm like, you know, I can go with the resolution if we are in agreement that we can add something on the title that will indicate that we did not forget about the other people that are suffering and trying to get into America. It says you're tired and you're hopeless or something to that extent. And I don't think we're doing that. Give your, the liberty, Statue of Liberty says, give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to breathe free. The wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Teeming means abundant shore. So we're not doing that. And we're not here to solve all the problems of the Afghans or anybody else. But if we're aware, if we know better, we do better. And I think that inclusion was great. But I'm going to end it by saying I'd like to see the title to indicate what we're doing for the other refugees. Vice President Reese.
Can I just respond related to that suggestion? So I think the impetus for this, again, I brought this forward a couple of weeks ago when the Afghan situation was forefront and we weren't ready to pass it then. So that was the reason for the emphasis. The refugees are coming from Afghanistan. From my understanding, what's happening at the border, and I agree that when you see those images, it's very disturbing, and the trauma that's being created right now is terrible. But the refugees that are coming to our community right now are the Afghanistan refugees. The Haitian refugees, as you mentioned, are actually being turned away and sent back. And so that I understand.
Well, some of them are. So what do you think about this? I'm not saying this is the biggest issue in the world. It's something for us to discuss. a little bit. What do you think about that? So Denise Driehaus is saying, look, you know, the folks that's coming to Hamilton County right now are Afghans. So let's go ahead and do a symbolic welcoming resolution or whatever the hell is, proclamation or some words on paper to welcome them, and then kind of join other cities and show that we are a welcoming place. And then you've got the two black commissioners saying, well, you know, since this stuff is happening with Haitians on the border, if we're going to do any kind of symbolic gesture, then let's symbolically welcome everybody, including the Haitians as well. Who do you agree with in this case? Again, I'm not saying it's the biggest issue in Hamilton County, but I'm curious.
And the idea is to make sure we're welcoming all refugees, and I would agree with that. And remember, we had talked about, and Brian Wright suggested this, that we form a commission to talk about how we do as a community and as a county when it comes to not only folks coming to our community, but folks that are already here that are immigrants from a variety of countries, and maybe trying to get some recommendations from a group like that so that we can make sure that we're kind of putting our money where our mouth is when it comes to being a welcoming community. So that's, I'm happy to introduce something like that in the future. In fact, I intend to do that. But when Brian Wright and Compass brought this forward, it was relative to the Afghan situation. And that's why the language is what it is.
If I could just for a second, Vice President Reese, and I remember when we presented it, but it wasn't actually presented. It was given to us in a kind of in a different way. So it was never presented to the commission. So I want to make it clear we didn't sit on it. We just were.
And let me jump in here. Remember this, because I remember when Alicia Reese was on the show, maybe like a month ago, maybe more than that. She said something that I didn't even realize, and maybe I realized and forgotten. But the Hamilton County commissioners, they don't talk about issues away from the cameras. Like the only time that they're supposed to talk about these issues, and it goes back to like the sunshine laws and things like that. You have some members of city council, they got their hands spanked because of that. But what happens is their staffs, their chief of staffs are communicating. So Stephanie Summerall Dumas, Alicia Reese, and Denise Driehaus are not sitting around away from the camera talking about this. When they talk about it as a team, it's in front of everybody. Okay, so you're getting some like, I just want to let you know that because it might explain a little bit of the interactions here. Their staffs communicate, but not them, right? Per the laws in Ohio. But rotate.
They got the information. We're not prepared to even address it. So, so right now, I think when we look at the incident that has occurred in the last two or since you gave it to us, I think we need to adjust and make some changes. And you did, as I was saying, but we just need to be inclusive. Vice President Reese.
Madam President, I would agree with your action today. I'll be honest, I didn't get the language till a few minutes when I came in. And maybe that's because I'm out trying to help the people here who don't have housing and don't have food and can't get rental assistance. 4,000 people haven't been returned calls, I'm told, from CAA, who's waiting right now. We've been on phones with people who've been crying because they're about to lose their own home. And I've been working really hard to make Hamilton County more welcoming for the people that are right here first. Now, with the resolution, unfortunately, we're not Congress. If I was in Congress, then we would have a little, I would have to be probably doing a little different because I would have some power in Congress to do something. But I haven't had a chance to look at a resolution that does not allow us to do anything. I hope that Hamilton County should be welcoming. My understanding, I agree with you that they are coming. They don't have to ask our permission to come. We did have a testimony that Jobs and Family Services and the health department is already working with the Catholic Charities. I don't know if we give them money. I've got to check to see if we even give them money as well. But they're working with them as we speak. And they were complimented in the presentation of the work that our county employees, Jobs and Family Services, are doing. And so I will have to, I guess I don't know if I'll apologize, maybe I won't. I haven't had time to look at this resolution. When I hear 4,000 people right now have not gotten a phone call back, can't pay the gas and electric, getting ready to be thrown out, getting ready the lights to be cut out. When I'm out in Bond Hill, we couldn't get through. We had over 200 some people we couldn't even get through They're calling today saying, hey, I can't take it. Please call me back. I want to see some urgency with that versus resolutions that are not within our own power. Now, I'm in Congress. It's a different ballgame. But we're here in the Hamilton County Commission, and I think we're all trying to get this money out to the streets because there's so many people, middle-class people, who you said their jobs. There's not many jobs out here. It's a lot of hamburger jobs, but there's no.
Speak, sis. Speak. Oh, it's so many jobs. She right. There's a lot of hamburger jobs out there. Every job is not the same. That's one of the biggest fallacies. Oh, there's plenty of jobs. I see people with for hire signs all the place. Well, you go work there. You go work there. That's part of the reason why there was a mass exodus from the job market. People was like, you know what? COVID just showed them like, oh, I can get by. I can get by. I can do this. Why go back here and slave for somebody and you ain't really getting paid the way you really believe you need to be getting paid?
Jobs out here. And so that's the stuff that I have been focused on. Now, I got 2 paragraphs before I walked in here. Before that, I got a call yesterday from my chief of staff. I told him if it doesn't have Haiti, I don't want to talk about it. Haiti and Afghan got to be together. I agree with President Dumas. Last time we talked about this, you were first to say it. What about Haiti? So there's plenty of time to have it. But this is the type of inclusion we talk about. You know, we talk about it. Inclusion, and maybe I don't like the word inclusion. I like the word partnership. Because inclusion is an afterthought, like it is here, 2 little paragraphs. And they say, well, this is about the other people. It's not about Haiti. If it ain't got Haiti in the title, I don't want to hear about it. Because this is a resolution we can't do nothing with anyway.
I did it again. I'm not saying this is the biggest issue in Hamilton County. In no way am I trying to say this is like the biggest thing, but it is interesting. And to me, as I keep saying, I wonder what you think. I mean, this is, you know, black leadership is going to bring a level conscious black leadership, because you got some black folks, man, these Larry Elder types, worse than COVID. But conscious black leadership is sensitive to even the small things. And what they're saying here is right now, everybody in the country talking about refugees. Everybody's talking about Haiti, the Haitian refugees, how they're being dealt with. On some level, we're dealing with the ripple effect in terms of the county level of how these 2 sisters are looking at this resolution that was put forward. I think it was proposed by Denise Driehaus and some people named Compass, and I think they work in this area, brought it to her. And she's like, okay, well, great, I'll do it. So I'm not saying this is negative about her. Maybe Denise Driehaus is a bit tone deaf. She just don't have the sensitivity of it. But I think the real story is the sensitivity that these 2 sisters have. And it makes me wonder how else is that lens being applied to the work that they do.
All we can do is once you get here and you have gotten all of everything that you're supposed to have, you open to the services that we have here. They don't need a resolution. So I might have a different opinion. I get emotional about these things because, yes, when I see Haiti, I don't see it just, oh my God, it's some image. This stuff is real. This is real. This is touching. This is hurtful. This shouldn't happen. It's emotional. It's not a resolution. This is kids, these babies, senior citizens. This ain't no resolution. So I don't want to play a game with this kind of stuff. And I'm not trying to accuse anybody of anything, but I'm just saying, when you come to me, bring something real. I like to do things that we.
Yo, Terrence, I think you're right. It is tone deaf. It is tone deaf. And again, I keep saying this because I want people to understand how I process this. I mean, this is just this is a microcosm of what you get when you have conscious black folks in leadership positions. They're just going to be sensitive to things that relate to us, that impact us in a way that even our allies are just not aware of. They're just not sensitive of it. If I was a Hamilton County commissioner, I wouldn't give a damn about a resolution that didn't include Haiti either. Number one, we got bigger fish to fry. And I understand that the Hamilton County commissioners plays multiple roles at the same time. They can do resolutions and do real work at the same time. I get it. But if it were me, I feel the same way. Like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. We ain't about to do that. If we're going to do a resolution welcoming anybody, we're going to do a resolution welcoming everybody. Whether we know they're coming to Hamilton County or not, we're going to do it for everybody. You know what I'm saying? But check more of this out. Check this out.
We have control over. We're welcoming. We already said we're welcoming. Jobs and Family Services already working with people that are coming. Already the health department, our commissioner was complimented. He's working with people that are coming. And so I'm willing to, in a compromised way, support a resolution that I already feel doesn't do much, but I'll support it if we go back and get the right language, and maybe you can work with President Dumas's office to get the right title, the right language, and bring some back, and I'll be willing to go with it. But today, I will not support this today as is. A commission down the road, maybe, but I think our top priority is these 4,000 people right now who are Hamilton County residents who can't get a phone call back. These 200 plus people that came out to Bond Hill that can't get a call back yet. The people that are crying right here who lights getting ready to be cut out. But I'm willing to entertain a resolution and support it with a title change or what have you. And maybe you and Dumas office can work together, and I will support.
May I comment, please, Madam President? So with all due respect, we have been working with the other two offices for a couple of weeks now since this was introduced. So I don't want it to appear as though it was offered in a vacuum and then no conversation has happened since then. A part of that, the conversations resulted in the added language. So I just want to be clear on that point. Also, I was asked to do this by Compass, an organization in this community that welcomes immigrants and works with immigrants that come to our community. They make sure that they feel welcome, that they're introduced to other individuals in the community. So I don't view this resolution as an either or situation where we can't, as we have been doing, help those in need in this community related especially to COVID and ongoing needs in the community. I see this as an and conversation, not an or conversation. As you say,
Denise just don't get it. She I don't know Denise Driehaus like that. People that I know I've never heard anything negative about her, but she just don't get it. If you're gonna do a symbolic gesture right now as it relates to refugees and immigrants, you gotta include the Haitians. It's symbolic anyway. There's no teeth to it anyway. So if we're gonna do symbolism, right, then we're gonna do symbolism that encompasses everything that people are talking about right now in the whole country. And it's just tone deaf.
Commissioner, this is something that puts us on the map, is saying that we are a welcoming community. Other communities have done it. Franklin County did it. Summit County did it. Dayton did it. And so it's a way to express our posture when it comes.
So Gregson, Black Russia writes, it's a debate over some ish that's non-binding. That's correct. And that's part of the issue. Since it's non-binding and is largely symbolic, if you're going to do symbolism, then let's get symbolism right. And so, as I said, and I preface it because I already know how some people can be, in no way am I talking about this saying it's the biggest issue in Hamilton County. To me, it's a microcosm. It's a small example of what you get when you got conscious Black leadership, what you get when you got 2 Black females on the Hamilton County Commission. They are going to have a level of sensitivity and a lens that even our allies do not. And while on some levels, this is a small thing, on some levels, it's not. And it just makes me wonder how their lens is going to be applied in other instances that people might say are of a bigger concern. So I feel you on that, bro, but we already know. We got
welcoming these folks into our community. That's all it is. And so if we need to work on additional language changes, I'm open to that. But I will, the time is now, especially with the Afghan refugees, to act on something like this. So I'm hopeful that we can continue the conversation between the chiefs of staff and then have something in front of us on Tuesday for a vote, because I would hate to wait yet another week to have something on the legislative agenda. So we will continue the work and hope to bring something forward on Tuesday.
Madam President, go ahead. I'm sorry. I just got to clear up. I can't speak for everybody's office. I can't speak for mine. We have a report that's due every time. my office, which we only get two, I have to just say, all of our offices, we only get two people. My office has been full time on getting relief to the people here. So I don't know, they wouldn't be working 2 weeks on a resolution. I wouldn't even allow them to work 2 weeks on a resolution.
Okay, so I'm gonna break in right there. I mean, you got the gist of it, and I'll post a link for you right now where you can watch it on Facebook if you want to get deeper into it and watch the whole thing. Somebody sent this to me, a listener. I appreciate it. I can't see everything. Again, I just offer this to you as well. You know, I can't see everything. Don't assume I see everything. If something interesting is happening, especially if it's local, let me know. Send me. I'm highly accessible. I'm on Facebook. Hit me with a direct message. So I just posted it for you on YouTube and Facebook. If people want to follow along and follow it, I just want to talk about it just a little bit. I know the Inquirer, they had they had an article about it as well. There's a little bit of a difference of opinion there, but I thought it was very, very interesting. Very interesting that the sisters have this level of sensitivity as it relates to what's happening with Haiti, because again, the more and more I hear people talking about it in my circle, Black folks is not happy with this. They are not happy, and it could cost the Joe Biden administration. And if it does, so be it. It's on you. You know what I'm saying? Joe Biden said he was going to be better, be more humanitarian than Trump. Well, where's the humanitarian at? Black folks delivered Joe Biden to the White House. It was Black voters. Joe Biden wasn't also ran until a Black man, Clyburn from South Carolina, stepped up and put his arm around him, and Black voters in the South came out. That's when he distinguished himself. So here we are. I mean, it's less than a year. You know me, I say, let's give it a year. I'm going to stick by that before we really get critical. But, you know, people need to see that energy. They need to see that energy. Yeah, we understand the gridlock in the Senate and Joe Manchin and all this kind of shit in West Virginia. Yep. But all that be damned. People want to see results, and they want to see that energy. And I can't speak for anybody else, but let's just say that there's a lot of folks out there that are still waiting on it. They're still waiting on it. So we'll see what happens. You know, they're still young. They're still young, but the midterm is right around the corner. 2022 is next year. It's next year. Now, of course, you know, we're over a year away from the midterm elections, but still, you're going to have those midterm election year politics that are going to govern everything. So again, all my Democrat friends out there, y'all better call y'all buddies in the White House and let them know to get busy. Better get busy, because if you don't, it's a wrap for you. It is a wrap. Good morning to you. Kathy writes, Kamala will be on The View today to discuss. That's going to be worth watching. That'll be worth watching. Most Def, 513-873-7134. If you want to share your thoughts this morning, I am here to receive it. Hope you're having a happy Friday. I mean, man, last 24 hours was great. Great. No one man should have all this fun. I'm having way too much fun, people. Way too much fun. Good morning to you. It's a Friday, so typically we kind of relax things on a Friday a little bit. We might mix in some relationship type topics and things, some things that's off the beaten path. You know, that's just the nature of what it is. Good morning to you. Listen, if you got, you know, interesting stories that have come across your radar screen, you want to send them to me, send them to me. Send them to me. Maybe we'll talk about it. Good morning to you. I see a lot of people posting some interesting stuff in the friends page. I appreciate you. I have been checking it out. Good morning to you. What's up, Akeem? What's up, Donald? What's up? What's up? I did hear about one person was killed. 12 people were injured at the Kroger at a shooting at a Kroger store in Tennessee. Can't do nothing. You can't even grocery shop. You can't even get your GMO vegetables and fruits and poison yourself. Damn. Somebody asked me, how am I going? It's a week now. I'm 100% plant-based, only 1 week. I was like 90% plant-based for the last year and a half or so. I don't feel any different. Feels about the same. Good morning to you. Let me see. Why haven't they mentioned who the domestic terrorist cell was that shot up the Kroger in Tennessee? Susan writes, was the Tennessee Kroger a white-on-white crime? So you wrong for even calling it that. You can only say black-on-black crime. It's okay to disrespect black people. You can't disrespect white folks like that. How dare you, Kathy? Sharp is in the chop shop. He writes TGIF Nate in the choppers. Good morning to you. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and good morning. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. Okay, so to kick things off this morning, I gave you an example of humans worse than COVID. Anybody can't get a chance to watch the video? Man, go check that video out. It's gonna burn you up. It's gonna burn you up. In the video, you see this white male at the top of the screen. He's above the letter S in the word humans. Just go up. I know it's a little hard to see, but this is a screenshot from the video. And in the video, let me explain it to you. In the video, you see this. He's a daycare worker, and he is addressing the little kids are all, I guess, 3 and 4 year olds. He's a daycare worker at a place out in Fairfield. Anybody know about this place? Maybe you had your kids or your children or your nieces and nephews or your grandbabies out there. It's called Wild Kingdom Early Learning Center in Fairfield, Ohio. Daycare worker James C. Olino is caught on video pushing a little black girl. She's 4 years old. He pushes her to the ground, and I just don't know why. In the video, and I'm not going to play it here for several reasons, but in the video, you see the little girl being brought back into the classroom. Okay? She's being brought back into the classroom by another daycare worker who happens to be a white female. The little girl comes in. She takes a few steps toward Mr. James Ciolino, who's seated. And this man with 2 hands pushes this little girl straight to the ground. Little girl starts crying. Pushes her to the ground, y'all. A 4-year-old little girl. This man, from what I'm reading, is reportedly 6 feet tall and roughly around 315 pounds. Okay? Open hand, pushes her with both hands in her chest, pushes her to the ground. The little girl starts crying. And then the daycare worker, her name is Stephanie Miller, she looks for a second and then shuts the door and walks out and leaves the little girl in here with this creep. Now, can you imagine what the other children are feeling right now? The trauma that they're dealing with? And this is supposed to be your adult supervision? What in the hell what kind of outfit they running out there? I'm happy to report that both of these individuals have been terminated. They're both looking at charges. James Ciolino is dealing with assault charges. I hope they put this fool under the jail. And when they do, I hope he gets locked up with somebody that just don't give a damn. And I hope he go in his grill. That's what I hope. That's what he deserves. That's a male right there. That's not a man. A real man don't do anything like that. That's a male of the species. That's a male. But he is not a man. He'd never do that to me. He'd never do that to you. He wouldn't even dream of it. Probably the type, when you see a brother like me walking down the street, he gonna walk to the other side and not make eye contact. All this weak ass ish that just burns me up when I see men do it. Makes me think less of them. But look at this fool. See this? And again, I posted a link. You can check it out. Since I'm talking about it, I'm going to post it again. You can check it out. Check it out for yourself. I posted in the stream here. It is the kind of ish that's ruined your whole weekend. Because see, now you got to catch a case because you got to defend your children. The craziest ish I've ever seen in my entire life. And I'm not going to ask you what you would do. I'm just telling you, I'm reporting it to you just as we're on the edge of losing. We are living in the last days of common sense. It really is. I don't know. And then part of me feels like this must have been so commonplace, right? That when, what's her name? Stephanie Miller, the white female, when she saw it, she must have been like, oh, James is tripping again. Like, how do you just walk away from something like that? I could never do it. It could be my best buddy in the world. We're going to fall out today. It could be my brother. You could be my family member. And I see you do something like that, we falling out instantly, right then and there. We got a problem. We got the problem, man. But again, I would say to parents, be careful. But parents are already trying to be careful when you put your children in these kind of daycare situations. No parent is going to put their kid in a bad situation knowingly. You think you're putting your kid in a good situation. You think you putting your kids in a good situation, but is it? Since we were talking about Joe Biden, there's a very interesting piece that I want to bring to your attention this morning that was written by April Ryan. She's a Black female that is a White House correspondent, has been for many, many, many years. She caused some flack. She made a lot of news during the Trump administration because, you know, she was pushing back on their nonsense and they tried to shut her down and sit her down, and she just wouldn't have it. But she wrote an interesting piece that was published yesterday titled "The Black Agenda is Front and Center at Biden's White House, but Will There Be Results?" She reports, and I'm not sure if you know about this, but apparently Joe Biden carries around like cards that he keeps in his lapel jacket, his lapel or his jacket pocket, right inside his suit, that has a list of important issues for that day. And she says that included in that, the top threes are the Black agenda, policing, voting rights, and Haiti. That's what she's reporting. She's reporting that the Black agenda has been front and center at the White House daily briefing. Okay. And that one of the issues on the agenda, policing, came to a crashing halt as bipartisan police reform negotiations between Cory Booker and Tim Scott and Congresswoman Karen Bass came to an end. So it looks like it's a no-go on bipartisan police reform. So I'm only reporting this. I'm going to post a link here because I know I see a lot of people posting, oh, Biden don't care, he don't do that. And I can understand where it comes from, but I think that we got to be a bit more intelligent in what is really going on. Like, who are the major players? Because Biden by himself, I want to make this point because I hear a lot of people doing this. Even though Joe Biden is the president, Joe Biden all by himself cannot make a damn thing happen. And it's less than intelligent for Black people to act like he can. Because I know that's the topic du jour among some Black people. Biden don't care about us. Biden don't care about us. If that's your opinion, that's your opinion. I cannot argue with that. But I think that we, as people in Black media, will do a disservice to our audiences if we don't break down the way the federal government actually works. So I'll say it again, because I had to go off on the sister that does a great job, by the way. I love what she does over at Fly Nubian Queens. What's the sister's name? She does great work. She does a daily show. I can see her face, but her name is not type of mine. I just happened to catch her show about a month ago. She was on some, I told y'all Biden don't care. And I'm like, sis, you playing into the emotions. But you got a responsibility to break this down so that our audiences understand how the federal government actually works. Joe Biden all by himself can't do a damn thing. So if you're saying, I want to hear him talk more about it, okay, I get it. When he does a press conference, I want him to have a single-minded determination and talk about the Black agenda every single time, even when he's talking about other stuff, right? Like Trump used to do. That's different. But this idea that Joe Biden himself can just wave a wand and make it happen is ignorant to how things actually work. And we're losing the opportunity to teach our audiences. Okay, it's bigger than Biden. It's about your local congressional representative. Where are they on these issues? Okay, it's a lot bit deeper than that. So I just feel like I hear a lot of that. That's why I wanted to post this article, because I want people to hear what the current information is and what people that are close to the White House are actually saying. Because some of what I'm seeing is some of the dumbest ish I've seen in a long time. And it's actually more self-destructive than it is constructive when we don't break it down to our audiences and explain to them how all this shit works. The easiest thing in the world to do is say, well, he ain't doing this and he ain't doing that. Okay, I get you. If that's your opinion, okay. I agree with you on some levels. I'd like to hear some things more. But there's another reality There's another reality in terms of the makeup of the U.S. Senate that can be a big hurdle. The same thing happened with Barack Obama. For years and years and years, he used to burn me up when I would hear these unintelligent arguments about Obama didn't do nothing, he didn't care. I'm like, did you vote in the midterm? No. Then shut your ass up then. Shut up about it. You didn't vote in those midterms when he was in office. Then basically you part of the problem. And then some of these same folks will turn around and say, Obama didn't do enough for us. Huh? And maybe this is just an education thing. So we should educate people to understand how these things actually work. But let me go to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Mr. Ivy. This is your West Side Connection. Drop Squad 52. Yes, it's Friday.
Yes,
I ain't got no job. That's right. I'm retired. Woo, Mr. Ivy. Sir, I don't even have to ask how you doing, because I've been listening to you long enough. I've been watching you on YouTube for about the last 7 or 8 months. I can tell you are disgusted with the Biden-Harris administration. And you said earlier that it's a whole lot of black folks that's disgusted. Now, Mr. Ivy, what's happening in Del Rio, Texas, with the story about, as Maxine Waters called them, cowboys on horses whipping black people, black Haitians? What's going on at the border now? Because when the initial story first came out about the so-called Border Patrol horseback whipping black people or black Haitian asylum seekers, I was asking myself, why would the mainstream media run with this story, considering it's going to be tied to the Biden-Harris administration? But today, I now know the answer. And you clarified it for me this morning with your disgust, and you telling your listeners that the black people in your circle are highly pissed off on the images that are coming from Del Rio, Texas. Now, you said it, Mr. Ivy, the black agenda is not being addressed. You brought up our favorite White House correspondent, that strong black woman, April Ryan, which I used to affectionately call the Throt, the thirsty reporter out there, when she was cashing in on Sarah Sanders at the press conferences when Trump was president.
You were so wrong for that. You were so disrespectful. So disrespectful.
But Mr. Ivy, you know it was all in love, because April Ryan is a hell of a correspondent. She's been on the beat for a long time, as you said. And her and Yamiche Alcindor, I've watched the press conferences, the White House briefings all week, Mr. Ivy. And every single day, they are hitting Jen Psaki hard with this question about the treatment of the Haitian asylum seekers versus the Mexican asylum seekers. Now, I'm going to wrap this whole thing up, because if you remember, Mr. Ivy, some of the criticisms of the Barack Obama administration and the Biden was his vice president was that they were doing all these things for the Dreamers, for DACA, for immigration, pathway to citizenship. And black folks were like, well, what about us? We've been overlooked way too many times. And then you fast forward to what's happening in Texas. It's the same thing again, Mr. Ivy. So the desperate Democrats needed to deploy the Congressional Black Caucus. Maxine Waters, she held a press conference yesterday. Frederica Wilson was on the Roland Martin Unfiltered, and she said she was pissed. And then, of course, our number one race hustler, the Reverend Al, he was down at the border in Del Rio. And unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on where you stand, he got shouted down. I mean, shouted down hard.
Really?
So again, Mr. Ivy, Mr. Ivy, look at my timeline. Look at my Twitter timeline. I just posted it this morning. It was bad. He looked like he wasn't rattled, but I could tell when he said that, oh, the Trump supporters and the right wingers, they could yell all they want. So they did not expect the greeting that they got at the border, because people are saying, why are you here now when there was things going on for the past 7 months at other ports of entry with Mexican people and other people from other countries from all over the world trying to get in here because Biden said the gates were open? And again, Mr. Ivy, the fact that they deployed the Congressional Black Caucus and the number one race hustlers, that's telling me their internal polling is exactly what you said earlier. They are terrified that they're going to lose the black support in the midterms. And they got a feeling that if they don't put everything in this reconciliation bill next month, that they are doomed possibly in 2022 and for the next president, whoever the candidate is from the Democrat Party. So that's all I got. I'm pretty sure there's going to be somebody that's going to call and say I'm crazy. I don't know what I'm talking about. But Mr. Ivy, I have a track record. I said this was going to happen. And lo and behold, I didn't think it was going to happen this fast, but it's happening again. Black people again questioning their loyalty to the desperate Democrat Party. Drop Squad 52, dropping fire to anyone who wants to check it. Be safe in them streets, Chopper. Peace.
Appreciate the call, man. We leveling up. Appreciate the call. I give credit where credit is due. Appreciate you, brother. That's Drop. He's my brother from another mother. Something like that. Good morning. Oh, man, it is crazy. But again, coming up at 9 a.m., I'm scheduled to get a Zoom call from a brother named Pascal Robert. You may have seen him on some other shows in the last week or so, talking about what's happening with Haiti. Just looking for somebody that can speak more intelligently about the history of U.S. foreign policy and as it relates to Haiti and how we got to this point. And I saw him. I thought, our brother's pretty sharp. So I reached out. He said hello. And hopefully he'll give us a Zoom style call at about 9 a.m. this morning. That means you got me for the next roughly 37 minutes, and we got a lot to talk about. 513-873-7134 if you'd like to share your thoughts. I went to my Kroger store yesterday. I was doing some shopping for the family, and I noticed everybody had masks on. And I thought, that's right. Kroger decided to reinstitute the mask mandate for all their employees. And it really begs the question, why in the hell did they ever stop it in the first place? Why the hell they ever stop it? I still don't understand. Like, I understand people being hesitant about the vaccine. I get it 100%. I have family members, most notably my two brothers, who are very vocal about their resistance to getting, okay, I got to go check that out, to getting the vaccine. I respect that. That's up to you. A mask, though? It just seems such an easy thing to do. And again, I think we all look cooler with masks on. Everybody walking around like it's a Marvel superhero comic book or something like that. I kind of like it. I'm not against it, actually. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I might keep the mask even after the pandemic is over, even though I don't think the pandemic will ever be over. Have you heard about how they got all these new variants coming out now, and they got booster shots and all this kind of... Man, listen, I knew I was right when I said it last year that this thing with COVID is going to go on probably for the rest of some of our lifetimes. But I'm convinced of it now. And the reason why we can't beat COVID is because of the humans, which I don't want to bore you by keep saying the same thing over and over again. But humans worse than COVID. That's the number one reason. It's not COVID. Man, I'd like to sit down and chill with COVID before some of these humans any day of the week. That's what the problem is. So I went to the Kroger store and all the Kroger people had on masks. And I was thinking, why'd y'all ever stop doing it? So to the Kroger stores and all the department stores, can we just keep the mask mandate? That's such a small thing. Keep the mask mandate in place indoors for the foreseeable future, man. This COVID thing, listen, y'all, we might be exactly where we are right now in a year from now. In a year from now, we might be in the exact same space. At the school, you're getting weekly updates and emails about how your child came in contact with somebody in COVID. Everybody masked up. You still got a significant portion of the population is like, bump them vaccines. I'm not doing it. Who knows what the variants might be next year? Who knows what the variants might be next year? So again, the vaccine, I totally understand. That is your choice. That's a life and death choice for you in some cases. Do what's best for you and your family. The mask, man, mask the hell up. Mask the hell up as much as possible. As much as possible. You know what I'm saying? And don't give in to the social stigma. Don't if your friends and family don't understand it, well, bump them. You do what's best for you. I'm just saying that. Do what's best for you, right? Because my fear is we just don't have the will to beat it. All this talk about alien invasions, the aliens don't have to invade us. The Russians don't have to invade us. The North Koreans, not that they have the capability, they don't have to invade us. All they got to do is throw some hate in the game, and Americans will destroy Americans. We'll kill each other. All they got to do is add some race to it or my freedoms. We'll take each other out the game, and it's happening right now. Angela writes, my hope not. My daughter's getting married next year. Oh, marriage is so beautiful. Marriage is so beautiful if you marry the right person. You marry the wrong person, it's like a living nightmare. It's a living hell because you live with them. I've been married 21 years, Angela, and I am a proponent of marriage. I'm a proponent of marriage. Do I like being married? I like being married to the woman that I'm married to. Okay. She brings something to my life that otherwise I wouldn't have. And again, I look at marriage as a business. We're in the business of long-term commitment. That's what marriage is. But I like it. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of advantages to it. If you marry the right person, the right woman, you marry the wrong woman, your life is going to be a living hell. Simple as that, fellas. And you never know. You won't know whether she's the right one until you get deep into the marriage. You'll be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years into it before you really know. Okay. Let me see here. Angela writes, I stay masked up. Absolutely. I love the way that sounds. TNT writes, in Cincinnati NAACP neighborhood blitz this Sunday, 2 to 4 p.m. If you want to help us turn the vote in lower voter participating neighborhoods, meet us at the NAACP office at 1 p.m. The more volunteers, the more ground we can cover. Props to the NAACP. Props to them. See, that's why I roll with them, man, because they roll with us. They are for the community. So there's an opportunity, folks. Like if you want to get out and help canvass some of the lower voter participating neighborhoods, you got an opportunity this Sunday. They want you to meet over there at Reading Road at 1 p.m. Just Google NAACP or Cincinnati NAACP and it'll come up. Jenny writes, good morning, Nathan and the Choppers. Good morning to you, Jenny. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Dale writes, drop, you full of ish. Somebody writes, he's lying again. Really? What he lying? You know, maybe I was wrong about drop. Maybe he does care about the Haitians. Maybe he does. I have my suspicions, but maybe he does. You know, maybe. I don't know. I'm not 100% there. I'm just saying. Politically Petty Podcast Show writes, black people are part of DACA, you fool. It's just more Hispanics than any other because the border is our southern border. Facts on facts. See. Where we at here? Let me back up. Sister Irish writes, good morning. Danietta Bailey, Donnie B writes, we need to get rid of Steve Shabbat and Rob Portman. Rob Portman is not seeking re-election, so he's out of here. Steve Shabbat, I'm 100% for you, but that damn gerrymandered district, Warren County. Damn Warren County. Kathy writes, especially when passage of any Senate legislation, depending on 10 Republican votes. Right. I mean, I don't want to get into the weeds because I think it's not a conversation that anybody really wants to have on a Friday. But that's why I said, man, this filibuster got to go because at the end of the day, come voting, come November 2022 and then November 2024, the only thing people care about is results. They don't want to hear nothing about no damn Joe Manchin. Well, we would have got it if not for Joe Manchin. Nobody wants to hear that. People want to see results. Black voters want to see results and they want to see energy. They want to see energy. So let me talk about Trump. Trump, in some cases, had a single-minded determination. He brought energy. Trump would be somewhere talking about, I don't know, he'd be talking about, he'd be in a scenario that has nothing to do with certain issues domestically about the border, and he would take that time to talk about the border. That's the kind of energy I think that black voters, even before we get results, because black voters want results, but that's the kind of energy and single-minded determination that we want to see from Joe Biden. I want to see Joe Biden at the Naval Academy during the commencement speech and talking about the black agenda. I want to see Joe Biden standing right next to Kim Jong-il or whatever the hell, whoever, some foreign leader, and talking about the black agenda. Because then, people can say, oh, okay, well, he's serious about this. You know what I'm saying? And it's all about perception. It's all about perception. It's all about perception. And while Joe Biden may not be able to control Joe Manchin, he can't control getting 9 other Senate Republicans to jump on board. He can control what comes out of his mouth when he step up to that podium. At the very least. At the very least, that's that energy game. But we shall see. We shall see. 513-873-7134. Woody writes, me too, married 48 years and going strong. Now, I will say that bump them vows. If I ain't happy, I'm out. God have to forgive me. God don't want me to be unhappy. I'm not for that long-term suffering type ish. I ain't with that. It's just too many fish in the sea. Life is too good. You know what I'm saying? But if it's, when it's good, it's good. If it ain't broke, why fix it? You know what I'm saying? So I'm a 100% proponent of marriage when you find the right person and it's good. I'm not for staying for the kids. I'm not for that. Nah. I'm not for staying because you took some vows, bump them vows. You ain't nobody. You know me, I'm for that 5-year renewal plan. Every 5 to 7 years, you sit down, you assess, you renew. That keeps people on their toes. I'm telling you, one day that'll be the law of the land, and everybody's going to be like, this is so much better. Choice is better than no choice. Daniela writes, what happened to the Lift Every Voice plan? Well, I just posted a link from the Griot. It's a piece written by April Ryan. And let me post it again because you might have missed it. You might have just came into the room. I posted it just for that reason because I know it's a lot of people that's like, they ain't feeling Biden right now, which, okay, that's your right. But April Ryan's piece, once you read it, essentially what she's saying is that Joe Biden carries around like some white cards. Oh, we got John line. John coming straight to you, buddy. Hold on 1 second, man. Coming straight to you. Apparently he carries around some cards, like you might be cue cards or something like that, like you're giving a speech. He carries them around and it's got like his top agenda priorities. And apparently, according to April Ryan, they're black agenda priorities. And apparently this is like the number one thing on this list. Although because of the resistance he's getting from Congress, we'll say Congress, but really the Senate, it's up in the air as to whether he's going to be able to really implement any of it. So, I mean, read it for yourself. Tell me what you think. You might think it's BS or whatever, but I thought it was an interesting read, per the things that we've been talking about. 513-873-7134. And I hate the name of Lift Every Voice. It sounds like pandering. I never liked it, but what's in the name, right? Does the name matter or does the results matter? I think most of us would say that the results matter. If you're just tuning in, talking about numerous things this morning, we talked about a case of humans worse than COVID. I bring that to you at least every Friday, a weekly example, and sometimes multiple examples of humans worse of COVID. That's just my own way of doing like a mini weekend review. Nothing more than that. We talked about a little bit of a point of contention within the Hamilton County Commissioners, which I thought was interesting between, and again, in no way am I trying to pit people against one another because we need everybody to be on the same boat. But it seemed to be a different lens between Denise Driehaus, who is a white female Democrat, and the 2 black female Democrats who comprise in total the Hamilton County Board of Commissioners. Now, sidebar, I don't want to keep making this point. I love the fact that we got all female leadership in the commissioner's office because, in my humble opinion, the the male species have been effing up local government and regional government for far too long. So let's let the ladies give us a chance and give a shot at what they can do. We need more of that. And then secondly, I love the fact that we got a majority black Hamilton County commissioners. If I'm wrong, if you don't like it, I don't want to tell you. I like it. And I think some of that came out in a recent, we'll just say, disagreement they had about what really would just be a a symbolic resolution. So it was introduced by Denise Driehaus. She said she got it from the folks at Compass, and that's the kind of work that they do in the Hamilton County area, welcoming, immigrants, people who may be coming for refugees, might be coming from other countries, maybe whatever strife, civil war, catastrophe, whatever it might be, and then coming to Hamilton County. And as I said it again, I'm 100% for absorbing the casualties of America's failed U.S. foreign policy. But that's the same thing can be said for the Haitians. And I got a brother who's scheduled to give us a call in about 20 minutes named Pascal Robert, and hopefully he can speak more intelligently than I can on that. But just to set the table again without showing you the whole video, apparently, Denise Driehaus wanted all of the commission to sign off on this resolution welcoming the Afghan refugees, and the two sisters was like, wait a minute, no, if we're going to do any kind of resolution and welcoming people to Hamilton County, let's include the Haitians. And then secondly, they both agreed that there were bigger fish to fry, and they sort of openly talked about that. And I thought it was kind of interesting on a small level. It just, to me, was just a microcosmic example of having Black leadership, because it's going to have a different lens. And again, a lot of Black folks are very sensitive. You turn on Black radio right now, largely they've been talking about what's happening with these Haitians. Because for us, we look at that situation and we thinking about the antebellum South. That shit's a little too close to Django. It's a little too close to some stuff that we don't like. You know what I'm saying? And then we looking at a Democrat president who claimed that he was going to be more humanitarian, a Democrat president who would not be in the White House right now if not for Black voters. Joe Biden would not be there if it was not for Black voters. I'll say it again. Trump got more votes in a losing effort than any other U.S. president. That was a close race, and we made the difference for Joe. And so when I hear people criticizing him and saying, where is he and where is he, all that shit is valid. That is 100% valid, because you wouldn't be there. Remember, I remember this. It was South Carolina. It was James Clyburn. He put his arms around Joe, and then Joe won the South Carolina primary. And that's when he started to distance himself from the rest of the crowd. It was Black voters that put him in office. We put you there, Joe. And so, we need more of that energy. Now, I think some people, they go off on Joe without talking about the realities of how Congress and the federal government actually works. But that overall, observation or critique of Joe, like, hey, we put you there. Where's the money? You know what I'm saying? Bring home the money. Where's the agenda? Where are these items? All of that is completely valid. 100%. So we talked a little bit about that as it relates to the Hamilton County Commissioners. And I agree with the sisters. If I was on the Hamilton County Board of Commissioners, I'm not signing off on no resolution and welcoming refugees unless we talk about Haitians, because we need to send a symbolic message. And I get it. And if I was on the Hamilton County Board of Commissioners, I wouldn't be worried about any symbolic gestures of any kind. I'd be worried about what Hamilton Countyans need right now. And right now, that's a lot of relief. There's a lot of folks out there struggling, a lot of people out there that are like wondering whether they're going to be able to stay in their homes, wondering whether they're going to be able to keep a roof over their heads. It's been a long time since I've had that feeling, although I know what that feels like. It's been a long time since I've had that feeling, because I got my whole privilege going on, right? Me and the wifey and the little life that we built. So that's not a feeling I can tap into like really, really close to me. Although I know what that feels like, and you can't do nothing else. You know what I'm saying? When you insecure about your home and them bills, you can't do, what else can you do? That's the only thing that matters to you. So I agree with the sisters on that. I just want to make that point. So we talked about that this morning. If you want to share your thoughts, you got the number 513-873-7134. Diana writes, Ice Cube. Where is Ice Cube, man? I hope so, man. Like I said, I want Cube to hook up with these sisters and these folks that's already out here doing with these political action committees and these Black agendas. I want them to all posse up, all link up, and do something big for the culture. That'd be great. That'd be great. I don't know what Cuba's doing. It's Ice Cube. Deborah Nesbitt's in the house. She writes, good morning, Choppers. Good morning to you, Deborah Nesbitt. Good to see you. It's a Friday. So, like I said, on a Friday, I typically try to like switch it up a little bit. We might even ask some relationship topics. That's my style. If it's not something that's really, really pressing that's going on. So let me go back here a little bit. So yesterday, we had a caller who called in, and he was kind of pressing me about the 2 mayoral candidates. And as you know, and I'll continue this series, I'm going to all of the political candidates' websites and their social media presence, and I'm going to grade it. I want to know what's there. If you're going to take the time to run for a political office and put up a website and tell people to go to your website, well, damn it, it should be something there worth going to. And I did that with the 2 mayoral candidates over the last couple of days. And within the last 24 hours, I got a chance to go deeper into it. So now I know everything I need to know. I got a chance to read through the entirety of Abtab Pureval's policy ideas. And the same thing with what's his name? David Mann. And I'm here to tell your family that when you go to their websites, you're going to get 2 different experiences. And one is far more comprehensive and detailed than the other. Okay. And, it is what it is. You can go check it out for yourself. I could screenshot it to you right now, but I did that earlier in the week. I won't do it again. But let's just say that if you go to both of the candidates' websites and you're looking for information about your policy ideas, when you go to David Mann's website, you're not going to see a whole lot. He's got like 5-6 paragraphs and about 8 bullet points. When you go to Abtab Pureval's website, it's far more comprehensive and detailed, including a little bit of a historical background and backdrop on the major issues that people have been talking about and that he talks about as well. So, for me, if you're running for office in the 21st century and a lot of this stuff is digital, when I go to your website, I should be able to know something. I should be able to learn something about how you feel about the big issues. We went to a couple of websites. Who do we go to on city council? What's her name? Liz Keating. Nothing there. There's absolutely at least there wasn't anything earlier in the day or early in the week. Now, like I told you, it may have got back to her like, hey, people looking at your website, you might want to beef it up. So maybe I'll check it out before we get off the air today. But I was very disappointed. There's like a picture of her, some dumbass quotes from Theodore Roosevelt, who I don't care about. And there's nothing about policy or agenda or at least to say about a black agenda. There's nothing there at all, other than you can volunteer here. There's a picture of Liz, a little bit of her background. I'm not picking on her because I'm going to talk about everybody's website. And I was disappointed because I'm looking for information from you, where am I supposed to get it? So I'm looking at the Cincinnati Enquirer, man, and they got a couple of reporters, including Jason Williams, that are so in the bag for David Mann, so in the bag. Jason Williams' latest piece is titled "Defend the Police versus Defund the Police." It's what Cincinnati's mayor's race is about. Wrong, Jason. That's not what the Cincinnati's mayor's race is about. That's what he wants you to think is about because, and I will say this to Jason Williams' face, and I like Jason Williams. I love what he writes because it gives me something to talk about, and we don't all have to agree to disagree. There's a reason why the Enquirer pays him. He must be good at his job. But this is some BS. He's trying to tell us what the election is going to be about in a way that'll fearmonger and scare people into voting for David Mann over Abtab Pureval. I have never heard Abtab Pureval say anything, and if I missed this, please send me a link. I have never heard him say that he was for defund the police. I've never heard him say that. I've never heard that happen. I've heard him say that police departments need to run more efficiently, and you can say that about any department. About any department. The fear mongering as it relates to the police force in Cincinnati needs to come to an end. And it's the reason why we can never get a better brand of policing, because you got people like Jason Williams. And again, that's his job. That's his job. His job is to get people to click on the headlines. That's his job. But it's my job to break this down for you. So Jason Williams wants the masses, and this might work. You know, these white suburban voters, we know what happened with Fanon Rucker and Joe Dieters. Oh, dear Lordy, he's going to let them loose. They're going to come to my house and steal everything that I've rightfully earned. You know, all this nonsense, which was never true. But perception is reality. But to me, this is the mayor's race is not about defund the police versus defund the police. Both of those candidates support funding the police. It's not about that. To me, it's about the status quo versus something new. And I say that, and I really came to this point after watching, and I watched it like 3 times. This week, it was on Tuesday. The Cincinnati Enquirer teamed up with WVXU and Xavier University, and they did a mayoral debate that was televised. You could stream it online. And I just listened to the way they answered the questions. And again, I don't mean this to be a critique, but this is just my opinion. It don't have to be your opinion. The way that David Mann answered a lot of questions was, we're already doing that. We already got that. We're already doing that. We already thought about that. That's the status quo. You know, it appears to me that David Mann just wants to come into office and keep doing what we've already done. And I don't think we need to keep doing what we've already done. I think we need to, in some cases, maybe we might want to stay the course where it's relevant. And in some cases, we need to be a radical, different change. And by radical, I mean maybe it's 180 degrees from what we were doing before. But, you know, that's local fear mongering. That's local fear mongering. Oh, they want to defund the police. They don't believe in the police department. There might be some who believe that, and they might have valid arguments. But I haven't heard that from Avtab Puraval. He was on this show early on back in the primary. I'm going to reach back out. I'm going to reach back out to David Mann again because I think it's very, very important to have the mayoral candidates on. But I haven't heard that. And if I do, if I am able to have them on, I'm just going to ask them directly. So we don't have to play games with it. You know, just ask him directly. Speaking of ask him directly, yesterday we had Steve Gooden on the show. And you've had some time to process it. I'd like to know what you think about Steve Gooden. You know, what'd you think about his responses? And I had only anticipated having it on for 30 minutes. I had another guest who was scheduled at 9. I just either miscommunicated or wasn't able to bring the guest on. So I figured we had a little bit more time with it. And really, man, I could spend longer than that just trying to figure out these folks and getting them to answer questions from different angles. But I want to know what your honest reaction was to Steve Gooden's interview yesterday here on the show. Did you like what he had to say? He's the kind of person, did he earn your vote? Did he lose your vote? As you're putting together your slate of candidates, will he be on your slate of candidates? He is a white male Republican. I appreciate Danietta was in because again, that's where I keep saying, you know, for me, when I do these interviews, I'm over prepared. But what makes it really over the top is when you, the people that live in Cincinnati, that live in Hamilton County, share your opinions, because I'm not everywhere. I don't know everything. So you might have some questions or a viewpoint or an experience that I'm oblivious to. That could be exactly what we need when we having these conversations. So, you know, what I would encourage people as we move forward and have these interviews is don't be silent. Fire off questions. I may not be able to get your question in, but I might get it in. Hell, I've done shows before where, you know, like I said, I'm over prepared. I've done shows where the majority of my questions come from the audience because I'm like, oh, that's a damn good question. Didn't think about that. I don't have no ego about this. I'm just trying to have the best quality conversation we can with the time. I don't want to waste the time. So to all the choppers, we bring these folks on, live up to your name. Let's chop it up. And again, just so you know, I don't believe in the Perry Mason moment. I don't believe in that. Like, oh, I'm going to ask him a question. He's going to get tongue-tied. I don't do any of that. I just simply think about the questions and ask them. That's it. I'm not trying to get you. If I get you, you pretty much got yourself. I'm not trying to get you. I'm trying to get at the bottom of who you are. I'm trying to figure out who you are. Are you good for us? And that's what I said to Steve Gooden. I'm like, Steve, you're a white male Republican that used to work in the prosecutor's office who was not elected and you took over for Jeff Pastor. I don't know who you are. I don't know who. All I know is that. So it's up to you to let us know who you are, so we can figure out, so we can make the best decision. I'm just up front and playing with it. That's my style. I don't have a lot of time to be playing games and all this kind of stuff. I just simply ask the questions of the candidates. If they fumble the bag, that's on them. That's on them. You know what I'm saying? If I ask you a simple question, you come up with some, I'm going to ask you, why is this so difficult? If I ask you, why is this not on your website? You love black folks, but there's nothing about a black agenda on your website, and you fumble the bag, that's on you. Do better. Simple as that. So I know it's some people like, Nathan's trying to get them. No, if anybody gets got on this show, they're going to get themselves. I'm trying to get the information for the people. Simple as that. Oh, okay. I see my brother Pascal is backstage. Hey, brother, can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up. Okay, great. So let me go straight there. I'm very excited about this. I saw this brother on a couple of shows. He was on the Black News Channel. He has a podcast as well, which I want to talk about. They had a very interesting conversation about pop culture and how it relates to U.S. foreign policy and just our perception about Haitian folks. So with no further ado, I want to bring this brother on straight away. Hey, what's up, brother Pascal? Good morning to you.
Good morning to you. How are you doing, Nathan, man? I really appreciate the opportunity to be on your program.
Oh, most definitely, man. I appreciate you, brother. Like I said, I mean, we don't know each other. I just happen to catch you on some other shows, and I know this is a topic that's really, really emotional for our audience, and then really black folks everywhere. And I thought, okay, he's got more knowledge than I do, so let me reach out to this brother and see if he can educate us this morning. So, brother Pascal, I really appreciate you making time and coming on.
No problem, brother. I appreciate the opportunity, man. I think that, first of all, I want to say something. I was born and raised in New York City of Haitian parentage, but I grew up feeling as a part of the African-American community. And I want to thank the Black American community for the amount of fire they are carrying on the behalf of the Haitian people in the light of the egregious offenses that we're seeing at the border in Texas. And I really hope that this is a reckoning to a point where we could actually put some of the diaspora wars behind us in terms of Black immigrants versus African American, and realize that we have a greater cause, because I'm seeing Black folk who may have got caught up in those kind of conflicts put that aside on this greater issue right now, and I find it quite inspiring. And I hope we can work together in the future, in the long term, in those ways as well.
Oh, most def, man. I'm all about it. Teamwork make the dream work. And I'm like you, man. I hate these petty differences that we sometimes get caught up on. We got a larger agenda that if we all get on board with, then maybe we can make some moves. But let me start with the basics here. And again, forgive me, some of these questions might be a retread for you. I know you've done several interviews, but for this audience, I think it's really good information that I want them to hear. But just to start out, brother Pascal, just talk about yourself and some of the work you do. Who are you and what do you do?
Absolutely. I appreciate that. Well, my name is Pascal Robert. I'm trained as a lawyer. I was practicing law for a long time. I no longer practice, largely because of a healthcare disability. And I was born and raised in New York City. My parents came from Haiti to the United States in the 60s. I basically, after practicing law, I basically started writing, largely on my own blog, that transitioned me into writing for places like the Huffington Post, Alternet. But eventually I developed a very long-term relationship with a website called Black Agenda Report, which I'm sure many of your readers may be familiar with. The late Glenn Ford and Bruce Dixon were both mentors to me. Glenn Ford recently passed away.
Yeah. Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yes, absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah,
I've had Bruce on several times, man.
Bruce was a personal friend and mentor to me for years, man. I was very close to Bruce Dixon. So blackagendareport.com is basically a Black radical left kind of perspective. So my politics has been shaped from that kind of Black left, kind of coming out of the kind of Black Panthers, Black socialist, Black leftist perspective. Even before that, because I had a lot of my uncles who had that kind of radical left analysis growing up in Haiti in the 60s, being very influenced by Fidel Castro, what was going on in Cuba. So for many years, I was known in the African American community through my writing at Black Agenda Report. I had done a few media appearances and some podcasts here and there. But recently, within the last 9 months or so, I started working with my host, Jason Miles of This Is Revolution podcast, who had started his podcast about a year ago. And basically, I was thinking about doing my own podcast. He invited me as a guest on his show, and we worked so well together that we have been doing that show together now for 9 months, going on a year. It's called This Is Revolution Podcast. You can get it on all your relevant podcast media as well as on YouTube. We live stream on Tuesdays, 9 p.m., Thursdays, 9 p.m., and Saturdays at noon, just like you do so here. And we talk about politics, world events, current affairs, pop culture from a Black left, Black radical perspective. And we have a kind of what we call materialist analysis. We root the condition and problems in Black people in the political economy of capitalism, and understanding that capitalism requires Black people to be disproportionately relegated to what's called the reserve army of labor, or basically labor obsolescence. And what exactly is the consequence of having Black people disproportionately relegated to labor obsolescence is that all of the adverse social circumstances, drug addiction, crime, social dislocation, destructive families, mass incarceration is a consequence of the way capitalism relegates Black people disproportionately to that particular economic condition. So we use the analysis of the Black community relative to capitalism as a means of actually trying to challenge the condition of Black folk. I'm not saying I want Black people all to become communists or socialists, which not necessarily would be a problem with me. My point is that if you do not understand the way in which capitalism facilitates the economic undermining of Black social and economic aspirations, I do not believe, as many Black activists have known in the past, you can truly challenge the oppressive forces that affect Black America.
So let's talk about some of the oppressive forces, or is it fair to put it that way, as it relates to what we're seeing right now in the southern border, as it relates to Haitian folks. So educate us, Brother Pascal. And let me pose as a question: how has U.S. foreign policy caused the current crisis that we see right now?
That's a very, to really talk about the subject of the U.S. foreign policy, we really have to go to the beginning of the Haitian Revolution. You have to understand, right? The United States has this revolution between 1775 and 1783. After the United States becomes an independent nation state, they were getting loan guarantees by the Dutch and by European governments to be able to flourish as a country. After the Haitian Revolution ends in 1804, Haiti as a republic, because it challenged the supremacy of Europeans to own slaves and becomes independent after defeating the British, the French, and the Spanish. What do the Haitians get? Do they get loan guarantees from the Dutch? No, what they get is embargoed by the North American United States under Thomas Jefferson, and get much more obstacles put on them in their ability to basically operate trade, and they are economically hampered. So the first sign of U.S. antagonistic policy towards the Republic of Haiti and the people of Haiti starts even right at the birth of the Haiti as a country after the Haitian Revolution. Combined with the fact that the United States doesn't even recognize Haiti till after the Civil War, and it hampers its ability to economically develop, the U.S. eventually invades and occupies Haiti from 1915 to 1934, ripping off the coffers of Haitian and its gold and giving it to Citibank, oppressing the country, destabilizing it as well, and restructuring it, causing massive influx of Haitians into the cities and the capital, and destabilizing the life of the Haitian peasantry. The United States had a very vicious and brutal occupation of Haiti in that 20 some odd year period, and basically denied Haiti of having sovereignty after that. There is not a Haitian president that has existed post the U.S. occupation after 1934 that was not sanctioned by the United States. And if that president happened to be interested in implementing policies that benefited Haitian peoples, he was faced with a coup d'etat like Aristide in 2004, originally in 1991 with U.S. support, or like another very well-known and loved Haitian president, Dumaissé Estime in 1950, was basically ousted by the United States. Why? Because he wanted to increase the minimum wage, and they thought he was too left, and they thought he was a soft commie, which he was not, soft communist, which he was not. So the U.S. has had a noxious relationship with Haiti, not to mention the Clintons and their Clinton global relief, and how it stripped so much wealth from Haiti after the Haiti earthquake, to the point where Hillary Clinton's brother had contracts extracting gold from Haiti in the mountains of the northern part of the country. So the United States sponsoring coups, economic extraction, neoliberal capitalist policies that they slapped on Aristide to shut down the Haitian government and exact privatization from the country, plotting and planning to help manipulate Haitian elections, just like the current U.S. envoy Daniel Foote admitted yesterday when he resigned that the United States has been manipulating Haitian elections for years to put in puppets to its benefits. This is the relationship the U.S. has had with Haiti. So we should be no surprise. We should no surprise to your guests why Haiti is quote unquote called the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. Yet we have gold, we have iridium. Some say that they are oil deposits. This is a country that is not poor. It is made poor by the U.S., by the core group of imperialist embassies like France, Canada, and otherwise, because the notion of having a black republic that fought its independence, defeating 3 European empires that made the Louisiana Purchase possible so that the United States could expand and become the country that it is today, is quite indicative of the normal way in which the United States and the West treat Haiti, which has been a beacon of liberty for Black Americans for years. Just some facts, and I can give you references. Do people know that Denmark Vesey and Nat Turner modeled their slave revolts on the Haitian Revolution? Do people know that in the 19th century, Black Americans by the thousands left the United States and sought refuge in Haiti as a place of liberty? Do people know that men like James Theodore Holly, an African American Episcopal, left the United States to form the Episcopal Church in Haiti as a means of Black nationalist expansion, of Black Americans finding solace in Haiti? There's been a long, intimate relationship between Haitians and African Americans, and we need to reconnect that history to come together to challenge those forces, economic, racial, and otherwise, that have been trying to oppress us both for so long.
That's what I would call a superlative flow, bro. I appreciate that education you're giving us. 2 things that I want you to drill down on me for. You said the core group. What is that?
The core group is basically a term used to explain the embassies and the foreign powers that come together to help dictate Haitian policy. They are the embassies of France, the embassies of Canada, the United States, as well as Brazil, and they form a consortium of countries that come together that control and determine policy relative to the Western world dealing with Haiti.
Wow. And then I've heard you talk about this on another show. You talk about the irony that Haitians are being expelled from the Texas border, considering the history. Can you talk about that?
Part of the state of Texas becomes the property of the United States by the Louisiana Purchase. If you don't know the history of the Louisiana Purchase, understand something. The Louisiana territories double the size of the United States, made manifest destiny possible. The only reason why Napoleon sold the Louisiana territories to the United States is to cover his losses after being defeated in Haiti. And many people don't know that the United States was protected by the victory of Jean-Jacques Dessalines in the Haitian Revolution, because Napoleon had sent an army of 25,000 soldiers, which was bigger than the U.S. Army, to New Orleans before he was thinking about defeating the Haitians with the plans of conquering North America. And he had an army big enough to do it because he owned the Louisiana territory. And if the Haitians had not defeated Napoleon and forced him to send that army to Haiti and get beaten again, this North America could very likely have been a French colony as opposed to the Anglo-American nation that it is today.
Wow, very interesting. Pascal Robert is my guest. Damn, that's very interesting. I did not know that. Let me let that sit in a little bit. That's very interesting. That's the kind of stuff they don't teach you in American history books, right?
No, they do not.
Yeah, they don't teach you that. So, what are you hearing that's happening right now on the border within the last 24, 48
Well,
hours?
I think that this is becoming such an embarrassment for the current administration that they're trying to rethink how they deal with this. I think that they're trying to determine, based particularly on the fact that the U.S. envoy Daniel Foote resigned yesterday. We have to understand how unprecedented it is for a long-term U.S. diplomat, to say that he is disgusted with U.S. policies to Haiti. Brothers and sisters, this might not have happened since Frederick Douglass was the U.S. ambassador to Haiti, and he said he was unhappy about the way in which the U.S. was dealing with the Haitian people in the 19th century. And this man literally said that the U.S. needs to stop trying to puppeteer the election process amongst the Haitian people. So we have to realize that this is a crisis of legitimacy for the current administration when someone who was chosen by Anthony Blinken, Biden's Secretary of State, picked Daniel Foote to do this job after Haiti's president was assassinated, and particularly with a Haiti earthquake, when Haiti's government is destabilized. We have basically urban gangs running wild in the country right now because of that destabilization, and you want to send Haitians back to a country in that situation. Even Daniel Foote, the U.S. envoy, happens to be a white man, acknowledged how ridiculous and criminal that it was.
What's the current state of the Haitian government? Is there a Haitian government? Who's running it today?
It's in flux right now because of the assassination. The Haitian, let's put the cards on the table, right? Since the U.S. occupation of 1934 was over, the Haitian government is a vassal state of the U.S. Even Papa Doc Duvalier, everyone knows Papa Doc was a hardcore dictator who used the charade of black nationalism to oppress his people. He was only able to do that because the United States wanted him to tamp down and crush the possibility of communism in the wake of Fidel Castro's success in Cuba. The U.S. sponsored him and supported him. So there is not a Haitian government that doesn't work outside of the purview of the United States. So anytime you hear people talk about, the corruption of the Haitian government, what Haitian government? You mean the puppet of the day the United States have put in? Or presidents like Aristide, who did have his faults that the U.S. took out with a coup d'etat twice. Not only to mention that we have all of these non-governmental organizations or the non-profit industrial complex, the NGOs in Haiti that are mostly American organizations that control up to 60% of the government functionality in Haiti. So when I hear people say, what Haitian government? Where's the Haitian government? It's a tool in a vassal state of the U.S. It's been destabilized with all these neoliberal policies going over 25 years. This is the state of Haiti, and this is why the government is so weak. It's intentional. It's not accidental, and it's destabilized, and it's now at a crisis point with all of these factors post the 2010 earthquake, post the 2008 the recent earthquake we had that's bringing us to a situation where the Haitian government has been so weakened by outside forces. There has been internal corruption and internal class conflicts because we have a very parasitic oligarchy of people who aren't even really organically Haitians. Many of them come from the Middle East, Syria, Lebanon. They've been in Haiti for many years and generations, but their ethnic origin is more Middle Eastern and Arab, who are this oligarchy or class of capitalist exploiters, own something like 85 to 90% of Haitian wealth. There are about 16 families. They're very racist, and they oppress the supermajority of Haitians, and they work at the behest of the State Department, sponsoring coup d'etats all the time to basically be the U.S.'s appendage in Haiti and keep control of the Haitian economy under their grasp and pauperizing the majority of Haitian people.
Oh, wow. Jerker wants to know, what do you say to people who think that if there were white people in Haiti, that the U.S. would provide economic support?
Well, I think that you would have. I think that you would have to challenge the whole notion of how Haiti becomes a country. They are white people. They're not. I won't call them white, but they are Haitians who trace their lineage back to the French, who tend to work with that oligarchy of exploiters. But the bottom line is that what makes Haiti problematic for the United States is in the West is the way the country becomes born and the affront that it represents to a Western capitalism, imperialism, and racial oppression and hierarchy.
Mm-hmm. Deborah wants to know, how does Haiti break free from the U.S. interest? What does a free Haiti look like?
That's a project. That's a project that's going to take time to develop. A free Haiti looks like with the United States and the West and the rest of the Western world not interfering and trying to destabilize Haiti as a country, having Haitians who are righteously thinking people from the diaspora coming in and planning a way to help its economic development. 80% of the college educated Haitians in the world live outside of Haiti. They live in the United States, France, and Canada. How are you going to have a country that's going to be able to function and succeed where 80% of its educated, trained people live outside the country? These are the conditions that the destabilization of Haiti have caused. If we can get some support from maybe other foreign countries that are not trying to destabilize our history or our country because of its the way it got independent, then perhaps there will be a chance for Haiti, with the help of its diaspora, with the help of righteous Black folk like the people who watch our show, actually become a beacon of light for Black people in the world and transform itself from the hole it's been put into by these foreign powers, as well as some of the internal. We have a lot of internal class problems in Haiti, color complex, as well as class distinctions. We cannot deny that that's been a major obstacle to the ability of Haiti to develop as well.
What would you suggest that people say to their representatives?
Stop sending the Haitians back to a country that's been destabilized over years and allow them to file for their asylum status, and maybe at least send them back to the countries that they intermediately stopped in, like Brazil and Chile, before you send them back. Think about sending them back to Haiti. Stop sending them back to Haiti. The country is in too weak of a condition right now.
So again, somebody wants to know, where can they find you? Your podcast is on YouTube. It's titled This is Revolution Podcast. Is that correct?
That's correct. This is
a website or something where people can find
This is Revolution Podcast has a website as well. You can find me at Twitter at PROBERT06, at PRobert06, or spell PRobert06. Pascal Robert on Facebook, Pascal Robert at blackagendareport.com. You can find my work in the Huffington Post as well. Hit me up on Twitter, and you'll be able to find me. If you want to send me an email, Thought Merchant, THOUGHT, Merchant, MERCHANT @gmail.com, all one word.
You know, one last question before you roll. On your podcast, This is Revolution Podcast, you had an interesting conversation. I thought it was interesting because it touched upon how American culture, it was about zombie movies and horror movies.
Yes, that was we had Catherine Liu, who is a film scholar. We were talking about the way in which popular culture is used as a social engineering mechanism to facilitate the capitalist realism that keeps people not only in consumer mode, but demobilizes them from actually challenging empire and capital. And I talked about how in the Kerner Commission report, which I suggest people to use, there's a section called Negroes in the Media that the Johnson administration was basically following as a means to demobilize the urban rebellions that were happening between 1967 and 1971. In 68, when the Kerner Commission comes out, they say increase the presence of Blacks in media, in pop culture, in film, and in music as a means to demobilize them. And that's exactly what happens in the 70s, right after the urban rebellions. There's a great piece I wrote in Black Agenda Report. Google Pascal Robert, Clarence Avant, AVANT, and I talk about how pop culture in the 1970s, right after the urban rebellions, is used as a demobilization technique. Why do you think you have Soul Train, Good Times, and all of this proliferation in the 70s? It's not just only that Black people like that stuff. It was a means to demobilize us from the radical politics that we had that was causing the urban rebellions in the late 1960s.
Brother Robert, I appreciate your time, man. It's been very interesting, very educational. Let's stay connected.
Absolutely, no problem. I appreciate you reaching out.
Most def, man. Appreciate your time. That's Brother Pascal Robert, everybody. I thought superlative flows. I got to go back and listen to it so I can just like absorb everything the brother had to say. And it's different when somebody's saying it to you as opposed to reading it yourself. And I'm glad he touched upon, you know, how Blacks in the media were used to demobilize the movement back in the 70s. We all know that's true, ain't it? We still talking about that to this very day. So I appreciate the brother and his time. And again, you can find him. This is Revolution Podcast, and check that brother out. Like I said, I'm just doing what I do. You know, being me, I come across him in a couple places. I'm like, wait a minute, this brother got something to say. So I'm glad that he made himself available and shared some of his time with us, so we can get a better education. Because, like I said, I know what I know, but I know what I don't know. I don't front. So I reach out to the people that are closer to the information so they can come on and educate all of us. And I think that what I'll do is I'll take this and just his interview and make it its own standalone clip so people can get it to it quicker and easily digest what the brother had to say. So my wheels are still spinning. He said a whole lot. But it all kind of makes sense, right? It all rings very, very true. So that's the backstory. Damn, Napoleon was going to take over these United States, Quite interesting. Very interesting. But what do you think? What do you think about the brother Pascal Robert and what he had to say? Kamika writes, that was a great segment. Thank you. I thought so. He made it great. I just asked a few questions. Drop writes, rack 'em. Nat writes, great interview, Nate. Yeah, all for that, brother. I just asked a few questions. He brought all the knowledge. Politically Petty Podcast Show writes, I've been following this brother for a minute, straight fire. Oh, have you? Okay, I ain't surprised, Glenn. I know you be on top of it, brother. I already know. We did get a call from, I think it was Alicia Reese was giving us a call. We were talking about her earlier. Alicia, if you're still listening, she's a Hamilton County Commissioner. We were talking about her earlier. And again, it all kind of is intertwined with what's going on with the Haitian refugees. I feel I'm doubling down on what I said beforehand, before Brother Pascal came on. Okay, Afghans coming in, they're victims of U.S. foreign policy. And now we know that the Haitian folks are victims of U.S. foreign policy. As I told the brother, that's the kind of stuff they don't tell us in the history books. That's the kind of stuff they conveniently leave out, right? When they're weaving the mythology of how this country was actually brought to fruition. So I appreciate it. Jerica has a question. Jerica, I missed it. I would have put it out there. She writes, are you familiar with the 1804 documentary produced by Tariq Nasheed? If so, what are your thoughts about it? He's still backstage. Brother Pascal, I can bring him back. You got time?
Yeah, I'm still here. I was just about to sign out. I am familiar with the documentary by Tariq Nasheed. I thought it was very well done. I give him much credit. I think it was very well done. It's a good family reference source for a comprehensive understanding of the Haitian Revolution.
Okay.
You want a good podcast appearance that I did. I posted it on my page. Let me see if I can get the link. It's on my Facebook and we can share it here. I did a podcast with a guy named Steve Grunbean. He's a good guy. It's called, if you look at it on Google, it's called hold on, I'll find it right now. It was a podcast on the Haitian Revolution, and it was a pretty good Beyond the Black Jacobins, the Haitian Revolution with Pascal Robert. So I think I should try to find. Oh, sorry about that. I actually went to the bot. I want to try to get the link and see if I can share it with you here, and you can share it. So it's a good kind of. Also, if you go to YouTube, I was doing a segment where we had talked about the revolution as well, and it was called The People's History of Haiti. So I'm going to share the link here for this podcast. Hopefully you can share it with your audience, Nathan. There you go. And that will give you a good background on the Haitian Revolution. And also go on YouTube and check The People's History of Haiti, Pascal Robert. 26 minutes, comprehensive history of the Haitian Revolution and the modern state of Haiti as well. Maybe
okay.
I should, I don't know. Should I get a link to that YouTube as well?
Yeah, I already shared it. I just shared it out.
All right, that's the SoundCloud, but there's a YouTube as well.
Okay,
there's a short video of me talking about the Haitian Revolution. Also, that might be of some value to your audience because we try to get Black folk to be aware of this history because this is Black history, man. This is not. I don't do this because I'm trying to thump my chest as a Haitian and say, "Oh, we're so great." This is the Haitian Revolution should be a beacon of light for all Black people in the African diaspora. I had a saying that I put on my blog a few years ago. I said, "For me as a Black person, as it should be for all Black people, Haitian history is a sword and a shield. It is a shield in that it blocks us from the lie that it is the ruling of the white people that will govern us forever. And it is a sword in that it reminds white folk that their blood could spill if they think we will swallow their ruling us for eternity.
Brother Pascal, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
All right, brother. Have a good day.
Yeah, most def. Yeah, he just happened to be backstage, and he was nice enough to give us some links. I posted everything, so if you want to follow what the brother had to share, then we can certainly do that. Hold on, we were getting a call from Alicia Reese. Let me see if I can call her back. She might have been trying to get in. We were talking about her earlier.
Hello. Oh,
Hey, Alicia, it's Nathan.
hi.
Hey, you're live on the air, just so you know.
Okay, good.
You got time?
I got time.
We were talking about you earlier and what went down yesterday. I thought it was very interesting.
Yes, yesterday was a huge day. I want to take one step back on a real good part. Is for the first time in history, there's been a lot, obviously, with the Port Authority. It's no secret. I've been challenging them on a lot of the things that they've been doing, the way they have been doing development throughout the county, and particularly African American neighborhoods. And I challenged them yesterday. They bought the Carousel Hotel with county money, $2 million. They get to buy the property. Then they get to be paid to run our land bank. Then they transfer the property to the land bank, which we pay them to run. And the land bank pays the taxes. So then they get to hold the property with no tax because they run our land bank. And I call that triple dipping. So people, they could go to my Facebook page, Alicia Reese County Commissioner, and you could see that. But the big thing is we appointed for the first time African-American woman, not just a African-American woman, but someone with a mindset and has been out in the community and also has a business. And I think will be great addition. And it was a lot to get this done. Angelita Moreno Jones, we appointed her to the Port Authority. And believe me, that was not the pick of the Port Authority. They were trying to tell us who we should appoint, and we rejected it. And so history was made yesterday, and I'm looking forward to Angelita being on that board for 4 years. The other thing, though, the resolution dealing with Commissioner Denise Driehaus brought a resolution forward for the Afghan people. And the resolution is basically saying that we want to be welcoming. And, you know, let's be clear. We're county commissioners. We don't determine if they get to come and when they come and how they come. We don't provide any assistance financially for them to come. So it's really out of our realm. Now, if I was in Congress, this resolution would mean something because we're dealing with world issues and federal funding and all of that. But anyway, this resolution came, and first of all, I was kind of shocked because we have been fighting so hard to get people housing that are here. We've got too many people right here in Hamilton County already that don't have housing or can't afford housing. We have people right now, their gas and electric is getting ready to be cut off, or they're about to be evicted, or they're getting ready to do a major sale of people's properties because they couldn't hold on to their houses. And I've been full time with that, as you know, with the 513 relief bus, and we got people still here that's hungry. And so with all of that being said, I said, wow, now here comes this resolution. So 2 weeks ago, Commissioner Dumas also said, wait a minute, there's a lot of refugees. What about, Haiti? So the resolution went away for 2 weeks. We kept doing what we're doing, trying to get people assistance that lives here right now. And all of a sudden it came back. And when it came back the day before, evening before, I told my chief of staff, because we can't talk to each other. I told my chief of staff, I said, listen, if it don't have Haiti, we can't, we can't participate with it. It's not ready. So anyway, they told my chief of staff that if we wanted Haiti, we'd have to do a different resolution. I said, no, we're not doing no different resolution. That's over. So anyway, we get there and all of a sudden it's on the calendar. We like, how is it on the calendar? I don't know about it. Dumas don't know about it, and she's the president. And all of a sudden, it's on the calendar. And by the way, we've added a by the way clause at the end. Whereas I call that a by the way clause. We added a sentence for Haiti. And so I said, well, wait a minute. I haven't had a chance to read it. We voting on this today. And so anyway, it was presented. And it just wasn't up to par. I mean, and I get emotional when I, see what's going on with Haiti and the families and how they're being treated. And so we said we just can't do it. And
Hey,
here we are spending.
Hey, let me ask a quick question. Why is that so important to you? Can you just drill down for me? Like, why is that such a sticking point for you?
Because whenever we get to people that look like us, it's always double standards, just like it is here. When we fighting for inclusion, it's always double standards. And so there was all of this, Afghan, and I'm not against it, but then when Haiti shows up, it's like, well, that's a different issue. And we see what we see, and man, I mean, that made me want to tear up. I mean, this, what I think about and look at, this is 2021, and we getting treated like that. Come on. And so I can't be a participant in a resolution that it doesn't have that in it. And so that's what we said yesterday. And I didn't know what the urgency was because we really don't have any power. We really don't have any say. And then there's things we do have power and say on, and we're saying, well, we'll get back to that. There's no sense of urgency. So that's where we were with that. And I guess it got picked up in the newspaper. They didn't pick up the Port Authority, and they didn't pick up the other stuff, but they did pick this up. But we can't have that. These resolutions that, and then in the paragraph basically says, oh yeah, by the way, it can't be by the way. Either it's a refugee resolution or it's not. And Haiti's got to be an equal partner in it, especially with what's going on right now in the world. So that's what happened yesterday. And that's how it got to that point. And so it's been tabled again. And I don't know, I guess maybe next week it might come back. I'm not sure.
Well, Alicia, listen, I appreciate the work you're doing, and thanks for calling in and keeping us up to date.
Well, I appreciate it. And once again, my biggest focus is sometimes we tend to put a lot on things we can't do because it's easy to do that. Oh, let's have a resolution. And I told them, don't bring me nothing unless it's real. We got people right now, right here that are struggling, and we should be full time on it. So if you look at the tape, you'll see there was something, about, well, your offices should have had. I said, well, look, my office is full time helping these people. We were out in Bond Hill last week, man. We had hundreds and hundreds of people lined up to try to get some help. And unfortunately, she wasn't out there. Driehaus was not there. She wasn't out there. I need people working just as hard trying to get this relief. They're talking about sending this money back to Washington. And we voted yesterday not to, make sure we're spending the money so we don't send it back. And we got hundreds of people about to lose their house from sheriff's sales and property tax sales and all these different things. We got more than enough work that we could do to help people right now. And that has been my focus, and I don't apologize for it. But people can't go to, and I appreciate you sharing it, they can go to my Facebook page and you can see the whole video of the meeting and be able to see not only what happened with the resolution, but you also can get what happened with the Port Authority in terms of the questioning and what they're doing and how they're doing these deals and how we have to change. One thing I will just say this, I thought was interesting, Nathan, because you do a lot of research. It's interesting that the Carousel Hotel and the Drake Hotel is $160,000 in back taxes. And this property has not been taken. It was not sent to the sheriff. sale or, not taken by the Port Authority. They didn't put all those things they do when they come in and take property in the Black community. And this person who's behind, who's not Black, they will buy it from him with our taxpayer money. So he'll make money off the purchase and his taxes will be paid. That's ridiculous. So I'm trying to break up these double standards that have been going on and expose them and educate the people about them.
And I'm glad you're there doing it, Alicia. Thank you so much. And
all right, thank you.
All right, take it easy. That's Alicia Reese right there. Like I said, I mean, I think sis doing a hell of a job already. She doing what she said she was gonna do. If you've been watching her at any level of her political career, this is what she do. And I agree with that sentiment 100%. Let's worry about the people here. And even though it's a symbolic gesture and maybe you just sign on it and you don't do anything else, but still it's the principle of it. You know what I'm saying? There's people in Cincinnati that takes 100% of the focus, the people in Hamilton County. Like I said, I know a couple folks that was on the precipice of losing their house and got some relief. And it's like their whole world changed, as you can imagine. And in my own privilege, it's been a long time since I felt that. But we can't get too far away from that. So I appreciate her calling in. And she's right. We talked about that resolution, but the questioning of the port and the way they got things set up, man, we should all be so lucky. They got a sweet deal. So let's keep our eyes on that. And let's keep our eyes on that. I keep my eyes on what's happening with the county commissioners. Again, I'm not saying anything negative about Dree House or anybody else. You know what I'm saying? I'm for everybody. But the facts are the facts. What's real is real. But what do you think? 513-873-7134. So we went from Brother Pascal to Alicia Reese. It's kind of intertwined just a little bit with the Haitian element. But what do you think about what they both had to say? Just going back to Brother Pascal, it's a lot of questions. Got a lot of comments coming in. Let me see if I can throw them up here. Let me see. Janice writes, wow. And people want to know why Black people are always being fought and challenged so hard. It is because we are winners, not losers. No one fights a loser this hard. Believe that. Yeah, what Brother Pascal said about how, what they call it, the core group. I took some notes. The core group. This core group of Western powers that basically are working to keep Haiti under its thumb. And he said Haiti can be an example of the shield and the sword. I think he's right about that. And again, I'm not in the high school in the CPS, but maybe if they talk more about the Haitian Revolution and all of its ramifications, maybe if we had a curriculum that reflected the realities of 70% of the student body, maybe the Black students would be doing better. I don't know. You can make that argument. I don't know about you, but when I'm reading about something that reflects me, I get excited about it. I want to read more about it. I'm reading some old dumbish about Thomas Jefferson or some other google glop about some folks that really didn't do a damn thing, but they're getting hyped up through Americana culture. I get bored as hell. Don't you? I don't know. Maybe there's some good examples out there that the powers that be just don't want us to get a chance to really take a good look at. And with the brother, and that's the reason why I started like early. I continue to do this. The reason why I say I don't just talk about politics, because a lot of people miss this, but I do not. I've always been hip to it. American popular culture. And if you want to talk about Black folks or policy and things like that, and our society and culture are intertwined. They are intertwined. It's the reason why I spend time talking about it, because it's intertwined in our society. And the brother made an interesting point. I have read through. I can't say I've read the Kerner report from front to back, but I've read through it. You can just go online and get a copy of it. It is worth checking that out. It's very interesting. Very, very interesting. You learn something new every single day. TC writes, I know that's right, Alicia. Angela writes, it's always include a separate motion when it's Black folks. Right. Jared writes, sounds like an everyday microaggression in political form. Right. We got to talk about the macro and the micro forms of aggression. Daniela writes, thanks, Alicia Reese, for putting a stop to the foolishness. That's why we voted for you. She's right about that. That's why I voted for her. Can you imagine Andy from Indian Hills? Can you imagine that? I don't think he'd be running 1,000 miles of dumb-ish right now. It'd be 1,000 miles of dumb-ish. That was just me. I know Andy from Indian Hills probably is not watching. He went back to his life. Remember that moment? Remember what happened with the flyer against Alicia Reese? Remember that? And he came on the show. He owned it, but I had to drill deeper on it. Remember that? That was I just thought about it. They put out it was subtly racist flyer about Alicia Reese. And it didn't come from Andy from Indian Hills office, but he rubber stamped it. I think it came from the Republican Party. They did it on his behalf. So he was benefiting from it. And I'm like, well, Andy. And he owned it. I still think he was a bit oblivious as to how we might look at it. But he owned it. I remember that. He didn't run from it, per se. Angela writes, "It's blatant racism, white supremacy in your face." Daryl writes, "Alicia is just keeping it real." Deborah writes, "Afghans are valuables, but Haitians are not. Right, sis, stand up for us." Angela writes, "I'm getting wounded. I'm getting wound up just thinking about that in the state of Cincinnati. 0 resolutions to help Haiti." Charlie Winburn writes, "Ask her whose resolution was it? I think it was introduced by Denise Driehaus. And Denise Driehaus, it was brought to her by the people at Compass. If I'm wrong about that and somebody has better information, set me straight. I don't want to be wrong." Deborah writes, "They meant those refugees, not black refugees." Renee's in the house. Good to see you. She writes, "We appreciate you and all you do, Alicia Reese." Anthony writes, "Alicia for governor." Dale writes, "Please don't fall for the pitting Haitians versus Afghans. It's a ploy. Both groups are oppressed." I agree with you. Lemmy writes, "Or both are the byproducts of bad U.S. foreign policy," or would you say U.S. foreign policy? Let me write, "Thank you to Sister Alicia Reese." Daniela writes, "Make no apologies." Renee writes, "That's very interesting. It's very interesting what she said about how the port is doing properties. And then you got one property that's $100,000 behind. Man, there's people out there that get $6,000, $7,000 behind. They're ready to shut you down. How is that possible?" It's a lot of games being played. There's no way that this city could be as segregated as it is, and that the wealth gap in this city can persist to the degree that it has if there aren't structural elements in place that are doing that. It's impossible. And if it ain't some black folks involved, unfortunately, it's always a Judas trying to take down the black Messiah. Always. Deborah writes, "How can people connect to get housing funds help? Did you see the article about the woman who had to leave because flooding and couldn't find a place that wasn't a shelter?" I didn't read the article, but I think I know what you're talking about. Brenda writes, "Right here in these United States, people are being displaced. Let's not forget that these should never become the forgotten ones." Absolutely, 100%. Kathy writes, "Thank you, Commissioner. Finally, someone calling out the port. Long overdue. I dealt with their antics as Economic Development Chair Council in Lincoln Heights. Is that right? We need to hear more." TC writes, "To a degree, I feel a little iffy about the whole immigrant situations." Really, and what you mean by that, TC, when you say iffy? What do you mean by iffy? Not that you have to feel the way I do, but since you brought it up, I'll tell you how I feel about it. I feel like there are victims of U.S. foreign policy, and therefore we're going to have to make some space for them, whether that's in Afghanistan or Iraq or Haiti in particular, especially after Brother Pascal Robert just gave us such a education. He gave us a quick rundown as to what's been really going on for years. And I think many of us had some idea, right? But maybe with some gaps, and he just kind of closed those gaps. So I'm definitely going to go back and listen to it again. Angela writes, "These Catholic charities are complicit." Black Russia writes, "We need to hear on commission. We need her on commission for life. DC is a do nothing city. #alt middle." David writes, "Just the facts. Just the facts." Jerica writes, "I don't want the others to feel uncomfortable." When you say the others, what do you mean by that? Brenda writes, "Should the Haitians follow protocol for entering the United States even though they fled their country? Political asylum is the issue." I mean, well, if we are to believe what Brother Pascal said, let's say what he said is in fact 100% verifiable and true. Well, then the United States should have been opening its doors to the Haitian folks from day one. It should never close. I mean, right is right. Angela writes, that's Angela Johnson or writes, get him, Alicia. Tamika writes, yes, we need her. The port is trash. The city is in on it too. They gave the port the land in Avondale on Forest between Haven and Eaton Avenue, where those $350,000 houses are being built. Janice writes, the reason why the United States in particular is so fractured is because we are dealing with prejudice, jaded, and limited history. Sister Irish writes, not just the foolishness on the resolution, but the port stuff is also right. The resolution is more of the sizzle. The port stuff is more the substance. That's more the substance. I mean, the resolution, I found a point to be made in it, but that port, what's happening with the Port Authority, we certainly need to keep our eyes on that for sure. Absolutely, for sure. Drop writes, the Clinton Foundation faces accusation it mishandled funds intended for Haiti earthquake relief as the Justice Department investigate whether the Clintons gave or promised policy-related favors to donors. Yeah, Brother Pascal brought that up as well. He brought up the Clintons and some of the non-governmental organizations or NGOs, as you might hear them more popularly called, and how essentially they are running Haiti. He also talked about the 16 families that are appendages, is the word he used, appendages, like the hand of the United States and Western interests in Haiti as well. And I thought to myself, who are these 16 families? So very, very interesting. Hey, listen, folks, I really appreciate you for being here. Thank you for checking out the show today. You could be anywhere in the World Wide Web, but you spent a little time with me this morning. I appreciate it. Hopefully you got something out of the show. Props to all of the listeners. Props to Brother Pascal Robert and his superlative flows this morning. I plan to be back with you and better than ever on Monday morning. Over the weekend, you got Straight Talk Live with Edna Howell Parrish, not Hale, Edna Howell Parrish at 10 a.m. on Sunday morning. She's scheduled to have Dr. Earl Ofari Hutchinson on to talk about not local, but current events. He's always a great guest with a superlative flow, very strong mental. Some of you might remember he's been on the show so many times I can't even remember. Always brings a lot to the table. Also, check out the lovely ladies of Melanin Insights. Perhaps I know that Cass was a little bit under the weather, so hopefully she's feeling better this week. But that's at 5:30 p.m. And then Brother Christian Boykin with the Echo Chamber podcast on Monday. All right, doing great work, giving you a different perspective. All right, and I'm just 100% on that. On the mission to amplify Black voices in the greater Cincinnati area and beyond. So if that's something you can get into, then hit me with a subscription and check us out and see what we have to offer. All right. Have an excellent rest of your Friday, the beginning of the weekend. Hopefully you get out and have some fun, right? You deserve it. Many of you are running your families, your breadwinners, your hard workers, your entrepreneurs. You're working hard every single damn day. Get out and enjoy yourself. Enjoy the little bit of the warm weather that we're going to have over the weekend. And I'll be back and hopefully better than ever on Monday morning. And remember our motto, family. Let's say it all together. Because when we say it together, we just kind of lift it up to the heavens. Maybe. Winners focus on winning. And losers focus on winners. So stay focused and stay winning. And we'll talk real soon. Until next time, I'm out.